closest exit next to you and keep the aisles clear at all times, unless you're at the podium speaking. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We had an extensive meeting before this, so thank you for waiting. We appreciate that. We have substantial agenda items this evening, so I am going to reconvene open session and turn it over to the superintendent for the closing and sealing of executive session minutes, but we are going back into executive session, Superintendent Picard. So do we do that now, or do we have to, how do we do that procedurally?
We would close the item that we've already seen, the item that we, which is, I believe, is just A.
Okay.
I make a motion to close and seal the executive session minutes pertaining to item A under the authority of Rhode Island General Law, section 42-46-5, investigative proceedings regarding allegations of civil or criminal misconduct, and under the authority of Rhode Island General Law, section 42-46, discussion of job performance.
So moved.
Okay, so I heard Greg first and seconded by Karen. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you for setting it up this way, so it's much easier to see this way than the other way from March. So whoever was responsible for doing that, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gina. You're always thinking ahead. Okay. So,
Disclosure of, yeah.
yep, disclosure of executive session votes. I am going to turn that over to Miss Angela this evening.
Oh, I never do this. Thank you. So we had 4 votes in the executive session. The first vote was to uphold the superintendent's decision regarding an independent investigation. We had 6 members who voted in favor and 5 opposed. The 6 in favor, according to my notes, are Mr. Luzon, member, pardon me, I'm sorry, member Pouliot. Thank you. You're on initials here. Member Chambers, member Reynolds, member Purcell, and member Lyle. And opposed were member Teft, member Dinsmore, member Phelps, and member Hopkins, and member Chapman. The second vote was again to uphold the superintendent's decision regarding another independent investigation for another person. Again, this vote did carry with, I had, how many opposed? Apologies. I had members voting no: Diane Teft, Laura Chapman, Louise Dinsmore, Larry Phelps, and everyone else voted yes. And the third was to recess to an executive session after, so it would be a second executive session. That was unanimous in favor. And the fourth was to move into open session once again. And that was also unanimous in favor.
Thank you, Angela. So our next on our agenda is item 6, recognitions. Gina.
So I would like to begin by noting it is Teacher Appreciation Month, and our students on the Superintendent Education Advisory Panel created an entire month of celebration in our e-update. Hopefully you had a chance to read it. But I wanted to say thank you on behalf of the entire school committee. I want to extend our deepest gratitude to all of our educators and school staff. Every day they bring passion, dedication, and to their work, to shaping minds and the hearts in ways that extend far beyond their classroom walls. Their impact is truly immeasurable. This week and every week, we thank you for the countless ways you inspire, guide, and care for our students. You are the foundation of our schools, and we are so proud to honor every single Charahoe educator during Teacher Appreciation Month, not just during this month, but every month moving forward and beyond. Thank you. Staying in line with teacher appreciation, I would like to recognize Robert Whitaker, known to many of us as RJ. Mr. Whitaker was nominated for the 2025 Civics Engagement nominee for the state. Mr. Whitaker is an amazing individual who has helped lead our Charahoe Community Engagement Summit, our first inaugural one that will be happening this month, and his advice his initiation, and his work doesn't go unnoticed. And while he was not the winner, he should be next year because we will continue to nominate him. He's an amazing educator. We're proud to have him on our staff. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Now, Audrey, now you have to stand up and wave.
Yes, Mr. Whitaker, thank you.
I would also like to recognize our Charahoe Theater production, a play, Mamma Mia. Hopefully you had the opportunity to see it this weekend. Absolutely amazing. P-PAC Rory, if I ever become a Netflix producer, I'm calling the crowd back in. I see my tech crew out there from last year and a few of our alumni actors and chorus. So thank you for coming, but the production was amazing. As always, the work that Ms. Burns does, Mr. Smith, Ms. Hall does not go unnoticed for teacher appreciation, but the students just elevated their talent, their amazing coordination, and I know that our younger students, both in middle school, high school, and elementary school, you're their mentors, and they talk about all of you all the time. So thank you for a job well done and for a beautiful production. I'm also thrilled to recognize the Rhode Island General Treasurer James Dios's Young Leader Award for Lydia Tabor. Lydia is one of our juniors, going to be a senior next year, also part of the Future Business Leaders of America. I had the lovely opportunity to spend a week in Florida with Lydia and many other of her classmates, and she absolutely is not only well-deserving, but another mentor for our staff and our students. She's just an amazing individual who is also on our track team and not here this evening, but an amazing student, another Charahoe success story. Congratulations, Lydia. We are also celebrating our SAT results. I want to congratulate everyone, because remember, vision of a graduate is K through 12. It doesn't just start in high school, it starts from our early years. And we're very proud to say that we had a 3-point increase in English language arts and a 11-point increase in mathematics for SAT, which is grade 11. For our PSAT grade 10 results, even more promising. It showed that they are well prepared as they head into their junior year. And the most promising and with a huge improvement in all areas was our grade 9 students coming from our top 15 middle school into our top 10 high school and growing every single year. So kudos to every single educator and all students and families that support their children every day to do this amazing work. Congratulations on the job well done. I would also like to recognize our welding competition at Grasso Tech. There is a link on the agenda if you're interested in seeing the video. But a big congratulations to Jared Minnick, who placed second in the competition and will now represent our school at a national competition in Michigan next month. Congratulations, Jared. I also, I know, Ms. Chambers, you have a recognition that you would like to share, and then I'm gonna, while you do that, I'm gonna prepare for Skills USA and their certificates.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Good evening. I did want on my recognition, I have two recognitions. One of them acknowledges our superintendent, Mrs. Picard, in the incredible increase in all of the SATs and PSAT results. I am not, as you'll hear a little bit later, I am not a fan of just standardized testing in my career as a one measure. I will talk about that in a minute. But the fact of the matter is that people want to see those numbers. And I think that is indicative, reflective on the good leadership we have here in the district. And I thank you for that. Also, thank you, you all agree. Thank you. Also, I want to recognize, I had opportunity, if you haven't, you should, look at the new website, and I'm not sure who is responsible for that, but I am so proud of that website because it gives a very clear understanding to the public of what Charahoe is all about. Unfortunately, as a result of last meeting, our last meeting, we've lost Mr. Gencarelli. And he is prominent and plays an active role, a very strong role in that video. So I guess it'll have to be remade because he's no longer going to be with us after June, and that breaks my heart. That's a personal thing. And that's it for now.
Thanks, Donna.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, last but certainly not least, since I think some of our students may be here or at other, but I'm going to call every single name because they deserve it. So the certificate says the Charahoe Regional School Superintendent and School Committee officially recognize and congratulate, and then it says on achieving which award, I'll tell you gold, silver, etc. But for the 2025 Skills USA State Competition, and then I will also announce which competition they received their award in. So first, I would like to congratulate Francesca Byers, Gold Award, Action Skills. Gianna Carchidi, Gold Award, Restaurant Service. Chase Caswell, Gold Award, Carpentry. Charlotte Giusti, Gold Award, Early Childhood Education, and the first ever for Charahoe. Elijah Henley, Gold Award, Electrical Construction Wiring. Luke Hoffman, Gold Award, Architectural Drafting. Nolan Lopes, Marine Service Technology, Gold Award. Tucker Malenfant, Gold Award, Automotive Service Technology. Mia McNeese, Gold Award, Crime Scene Investigation. Do not make any mistakes around Mia. Cassidy Moyer, Gold Award, Crime Scene Investigation. They're probably out doing some detective work. Ella Murphy, Gold Award, Baking and Pastry Arts. Ella has been a national winner 2 times, and I know she's going back and she wants that win. She's won first place and I believe 3rd place. So Ella is definitely excited. Catherine Pilkington, Gold Award, Criminal Justice. Logan Rakowski, Gold Award, Information Technology Service. Cooper Senecal, Welding. Fiona Smith, Crime Scene Investigation. Grant Taylor, Gold Award, Health Occupations Professional Portfolio. Nathan Burlingham, Silver Award, Carpentry. Kyle Marchetti, Silver Award, Emergency Medical Technician. Nicholas Quaratella, Silver Award, Criminal Justice. Gracie Vorno, Silver Award, Emergency Medical Technician. Krista Algier, Bronze Award, Crime Scene Investigation. Matthew Boyd, Bronze Award, Technical Drafting. Lindsay Main, Bronze Award, Architectural Drafting. Lady Marcille, Bronze Award, Crime Scene Investigation. Nathan Packeris, Bronze Award, Marine Service Technology. Tyler Peltier Bronze Award Crime Scene Investigation. I'm going to have all of my award winners who are here stand right in front of the stage. Mrs. Drake's going to take a photo for us.
All right, moving on to public forum. So I just have a couple of comments before we move forward to public forum. In the school committee's public forum policy, it states that public forum may not exceed 30 minutes. I wasn't aware of this policy at the March school committee meeting. We have 22 folks, individuals who signed up for public forum. So I would like to entertain a motion to extend the public forum time beyond 30 minutes because I would like to give each speaker 2 minutes for them to come up and address the school committee. So can I entertain a motion for extending the public forum beyond 30 minutes, please?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to extend the public forum.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Okay, seconded by Jessica. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, before discussion?
You're not saying what time.
So I'm going to give each individual 2 minutes, and I'm
What
going to ask,
Total time.
total time 2 minutes.
No, total time for all, because even though you're giving them 2 minutes, some people get up and speak longer than 2 minutes. So what is the cutoff? So they have to all be cognizant of each other and respect each other's time. So I want just a hard stop at a certain time.
So it's 8 o'clock, and it's going to be a hard stop at 8:45.
Okay,
And I'm going to
thank you.
ask the vice chair to time everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Jess, did you have something?
I just don't want to make a time if someone's going to get cut off. I don't want to set that time limit and then someone gets cut off at the end.
I'm going to give everyone 2 minutes. We've got 22 speakers.
That's fine, but I don't think we should set a time because we don't know what's going to happen. I don't want someone to miss out.
Well, I just think they have to be respectful of everybody on the lists. So just be mindful of the person behind you so that you're not encroaching on their time.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to extend public forum. We have a second. We had discussion. All in favor? It is unanimous. Okay, great. So for each speaker, as I said, you're going to have 2 minutes. You'll be timed. When the timer goes off, I'm going to politely say thank you and then ask the next speaker to begin. I'll announce 3 speakers at once. So if you can come down to the front so we can keep it moving, I would appreciate that. So we have a substantive amount of district business tonight, and I do want to do that as efficiently as possible, but I also want everyone to have the opportunity to be heard. I want to be respectful of your time, but we also need to be respectful that we have a substantive amount of district business to conduct tonight. You may also be aware that we have a rule that states if a meeting is to exceed 10 o'clock, the school committee must vote to continue their work beyond that time. So I'm mindful of that as well. I'm asking everyone to be efficient with their remarks and to be respectful. No shouting from the audience, please. We have to run a public meeting, so believe me, I'm a passionate person. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm a passionate person. I know that you're passionate about what you want to speak about tonight. I will respect your passion. If anyone is shouting, I'm gonna give you a warning, and then I don't want to have to, exclude anyone from our public meeting moving forward beyond the warning, okay? So let's be respectful of each other. So you are encouraged to come up and speak about items that are not on the agenda. And we're going to ask you to be accurate, present facts, present the information that you want to present based upon personal knowledge, not hearsay. This is all from our public forum policy. Be considerate and allow everyone to speak without interruption. Okay, so I'm going to announce the first three speakers, and that's Donna Chamber, Chris Kona, and Etta Zasloff. So Chris and Etta, if you're on deck, you're in the hitter circle, if you will. So Donna, would you like to go first?
I will go first, and I think it's a little beyond 2 minutes, but, because I didn't have time to edit it. But let me just say that, first of all, I want to all those who've sent emails to us, the committee members, and gave your insights in the past year, I want you to know I hear you. I don't always respond. I never respond to emails because I think my comments need to be made public and not to individuals. So I do appreciate the input that comes from the constituents, and please keep it coming. Thank you. I've been on this school committee for almost 10 years now, and when Barry Ritchie had to step down, Jane Daly became interim. Our search brought Gina Picard to us, and she impressed me from the start and continues to impress me to this day as an excellent superintendent. I represent Charlestown, and until the last few months, Charlestown has always supported the administration. Our newest representative, however, is disrupting this, and that disappoints me. Education has been my career and my passion for over 50 years. I worked as a program director, a trainer on a local, state, and yes, even a national level for quite a few years, with expertise in principles and practices of performance assessment. I think the Skills USA recognition just before this demonstrates what performance assessment is. These kids had to do a project that demonstrated a performance that was measured against very specific criteria. And that's what I did for my training throughout my career. It just means don't tell me what you do, show me what you can do, okay? So in the short time, Louise Dinsmore has been chair, and I still don't understand how that happened. Her performance has not been demonstrated as a chair of the school committee, in my opinion. She does not have the skills, in my opinion, to do the job. We have heard a lot about what she thinks, what's important to her, her kindness, respect, and concern for students. However, her performance and the demonstration of that, except for her consistency, she consistently says thank you, and I appreciate that much, has not demonstrated to me an ability to lead in a way that is kind, respectful, and shows interest and concern and well-being for the children and the school district. At the April 18th meeting, following what I thought was an amazing demonstration of the greatness of Cherahoe, she immediately facilitated the agenda item to not extend Superintendent Picard's contract. This amazed me, and everyone of her group followed in suit. You can see who her group is by looking at who immediately voted no, even though it was apparent from the performance just prior to that of how wonderful the school district was doing, and that we all know that does not just happen. It takes really good leadership to do that. In my opinion, Louise Dinsmore does not follow the Roberts rules, although she's new at this job, so we'll give her a little leeway on that. She uses her gavel way too much, and she puts in her opinions way too often. After the people have spoken, she influences the vote, I think. So it's not about performance when she does these things. So what is it about? I still haven't figured it out. It's not to make...
Donna,
Okay.
you got...
Okay. Let me wrap this up.
Please, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, we have a quorum of members and a leader who controls the majority, and their actions are not aligned with the welfare of Cherahoe. And I think we all need to pay attention to that, because it can be a very slippery slope. And I'll wrap that up. I will probably say more at future meetings because I'm upset at the direction that this is going in. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So Chris Kona, you're up. Etta, Justin Bentley is after, and Janine Harrington. Chris, you are recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Chris Kona from Richmond. The school committee has created a large leadership problem for itself. When Dinsmore, Chapman, Phelps, Pouliot, Hopkins, Tepps, and Champlin voted not to extend Superintendent Picard's contract, it came with no real explanation as to why you made the decision. You suggested it was to raise middle school math scores, but I think you're too rational to really think that removing one superintendent has an impact on performance of one test in one school. The Ocean State Current suggested it was for cost, but there isn't a superintendent in Rhode Island who gets paid less than Picard, who has more students. I'm not the only one who's confused about where you're going, and I assume the worst, and we assume the worst. Mr. Gancarelli's departure is just the start. Now that you established that you're difficult to work with, anyone who has been ever thinking about retirement is heading toward the door. As you establish a reputation for bullying and for being capricious, whether it's your goal or not, it's going to be a lot harder to recruit good talent in Charahoe. Charahoe is going to become a stepping stone for administrators and for teachers. It'll be a place where folks come, they do a couple years, get a resume bullet, and then they move on to a place where they know they can build a future and they have a stable future. And then we'll have to take wherever we can to fill the gaps. So we'll create a brain drain here as the talented teachers and administrators leave for higher ground. Now, maybe you don't see this as a problem, but organizational change manifests from the people in the organization. You need to get them aligned with your vision, which means they need to trust you. You've broken all of that, and it's going to take real work on your part to fix that. So now you're at a point where if you want to create any change, you, the school committee, is going to have to show some leadership. Platitudes are not going to cut it. They work fine on Ocean State Current, and they work fine on Facebook, but the people you need to convince aren't there. They're here in this school. They're here in this room. Platitudes will not work to align the professionals that you need on board in order to help you carry your vision forward. If your goal is really to help Charahoe academics, you need to start resourcing it and being honest about how you're going to get there. If your goal is just to burn it down, well, you're already on that path now.
Thank you, Chris. Etta?
Thank you very much. I'd like to talk about public schools and how important they are to a community. You claim to be looking out for taxpayers, but I urge you to protect the one thing that keeps this community strong, and that's our public schools. A well-funded, well-led school district is one of the best investments that we can make, not only for our students, but for our entire community. It keeps property values high. It brings in new families, new businesses, and it builds the kind of community where people want to live, work, and raise their children. And here's the good news. Charahoe has built that kind of district. We are one of the best in the state until now. Instead of continuing to strengthen and improve on that tower of success, we are witnessing a game of Jenga with a twist. The players here, and you know who you are systematically weakening the Charahoe Tower with each move you make on this school committee. The political mover to disrupt the election of the committee chair was the first piece removed, but it felt like a cornerstone. The norms of comportment were gone suddenly. The next play was to attack the reliable and affordable school committee attorney by putting his position out to bid, even though you backed off on the vote that you had expected because of the public outrage at the meeting. The game continues. In a daring move, the committee voted no to extend our superintendent's contract at the next meeting, extend our contract for a third year, without one solid reason given and without allowing the public to speak to the issue. Were you afraid of the outrage on that issue? Removal of these two Jenga pieces seriously threatens the tower, undermining the stability of the system, creating chaos. One of the worst things for students is to feel the chaos in a community. I elaborate on this metaphor for one reason. I want everyone in the community to know what you are doing in the name of your platform, All A's for Cherahoe, which, by the way, sounds lofty and good. And I agree with your first two.
Etta, 10 seconds, okay?
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
agree with your first two, academic excellence and affordability. But when we get to accountability and academic transparency, that both of those are unfounded accusations against the school system and against the teachers. That really is a culture war that could end it all. Cherahoe's a strong district. We should be lifting it up, not tearing it down from within.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin Bentley, Janine Harrington.
Hi, Justin Bentley, Ashaway. I'm going to start off, it may sound strange, I'm going to apologize to 7 of the members for, I had been in contact with you multiple times requesting your reasons, statistical reasons, data-driven reasons for why you chose to vote no on the extension of Superintendent Picard's contract. And I apologize if my email was, if it upset you. Some of my, the way I apologize, I was a little bit passionate. I got a little bit upset when I was stonewalled and didn't receive a response, not even an acknowledgement. So I'm sorry for that. The offer still stands. I'll still continue to reach out seeking data-driven decisions. On that note, Ms. Dinsmore, you did reach out to me. I appreciate that. We had some back and forth. You gave some statistics about middle school RICAS scores. I appreciate that. That was all I was asking for. So,
I accept your apology.
thank you.
Welcome.
And you had stated something to the effect of you thought that RICAS, which I agree with, is not the be-all, end-all, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. But you had stated that there need to be other measures of data to benchmark growth. And I am a data junkie, and the good news is I've reached out to the assistant superintendent, and there are numerous benchmarks that are much more accurate statistics to measure the growth and progress of Cherahoe. I just, 2 in particular that I strongly urge school committee members, if you're not familiar with them, K through 8, iReady Math. It's it's much better in my opinion than RICAS. It's given in the fall, the winter, and the spring to every student, K through 8, where you can almost real time measure the progress in math of students. To me, it's a much more statistically solid measurement because you're measuring each student individually, each grade year to year, 3 times per year, versus RICAS, you are measuring a different cohort, different test each year. It's kind of silly. And the other one would be NEWA, again, fall, winter, and spring. That's for ELA. And again, it's phenomenal. There's volumes of data. I thank you for sharing that. I've just begun looking at it, and I'll continue to look at it again and again. I'd love to share that with you and suggest that you dive in yourself. But the one thing in looking at it for the past several days is that we are improving, we are growing, we are making gains. So there are measurements, and again, I look forward to hearing
Thanks,
from you sharing
Justin.
that.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, Janine Harrington, and then after Janine, it's Mary, and I can't read your last name, but I think it begins with an M. So Janine Harrington, Mary, and then Trisha Kelly, and then Jean Arthur.
Hi, my name is Janine Harrington. I'm a parent of a child in Cherahoe Schools. I'm an alumnus, taxpayer, and voter. I'm here tonight to give my comments about Superintendent Gina Picard that I was disenfranchised from doing last month's meeting by Chair Dinsmore. Gina Picard was hired because she was a collaborative leader who would maintain the positive momentum that the late, great Barry Ritchie initiated and imbued. He was persistent in his drive, dedicated to the objective, and honest in his engagement, and Gina has maintained that course. The Cherahoe School Committee back then voted not for change, but rather for the best candidate to continue this mission. Superintendent Picard has brought real stability to this district. She listens to families, makes thoughtful choices, and always keeps kids at the center. This district has been through a lot and has some big hurdles ahead with the closing of Hope Valley. We have someone who knows our schools, understands our community, and is making things work. Why on earth would you risk all of that and start all over again? And let's not kid ourselves, replacing a superintendent is disruptive and expensive. Why charge the taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars to seek out and hire a new superintendent who knows nothing about our schools and the major changes we are embarking on? A superintendent who will likely demand higher pay. It's ironic to me that you seem to have forgotten the taxpayers. You were all elected to put our schools ahead of any personal and political agenda. I was confident in you to make the decision not based on politics, but on the needs of our children and our community. You failed us. I don't have confidence that another change would go smoothly with this committee. As a parent who has had kids in this system since 1998, having interacted with administration for decades, I feel Gina has been excellent. She's communicative, forthcoming, and available. But most of all, she has been supportive of my children and always puts the kids' needs and district needs first. Shame on you for not doing the same.
Thank you,
Gina,
Janine.
congratulations for all these awards tonight. That's because
Mary? Mary, what is your last name?
Mason.
Thank you, Mary.
You've heard from me before. Thank you, Donna, for your comments. I am a Richmond resident. I emailed all of you after the January meeting and mentioned that a fellow resident had approached me and said, "We got her in." That person at that time also said, "Next is the superintendent." And I really thought it was merely an inflated kind of statement. However, now that I've attended several meetings with this new school committee and witnessed for myself the blatant political posturing, I realize I should have never thought so lightly of that comment. There are 7 members here who claim to be transparent. You are anything but that. In February, Ms. Chambers even asked for an item on transparency to be placed on the next agenda, and that speaks volumes. In my experience, those who constantly claim transparency are usually the ones who use it the least. It is evident that if someone's point of view doesn't align with the agenda of the 7 up there, that person is summarily dismissed. And I got my first taste of that in Louise's response to the aforementioned email. Having no connection to local politics or social media myself, she chastised me for basing my comments on hearsay and rumors, accepting non-facts and untruths, and expressed surprise that I would buy into any of that. If a person who does not run in political and social media circles picks up on ideas that spark such a defensive response, then something rings true in what was said. Now, specifically addressing April's meeting, as a 30-year resident and taxpayer, I am alarmed by the clear actions of the 7 to sway the discussion against Superintendent Picard. And from the moment Louise was elected chair, Ms. Picard has provided continuous support throughout meetings. She has also been a highly visible member of the school community during and after school hours. Test scores continue to improve. Ms. Picard has detailed information to share. The superintendent even declined a salary increase due to level funding. As a retired public educator of 33 plus years who worked under at least 5 superintendents, I assure you, this is not typical. And Louise also noted that Ms. Picard was a reflection of her team. Typically, when that phrase is used, it is transposed, as in, one's team is a reflection of its leadership. Her positive relationship with faculty, staff, and students was evident in her Vision 2026 strategic plan update. Her leadership was reflected in the team's enthusiasm and positivity.
Mary, 10 more seconds, okay?
Well, I think I'm going to pass it on to my companion.
Okay. Thank you. Trisha?
Trisha Tyler from Richmond. Whoops, sorry. Contents of up to 100 emails were fleetingly mentioned, but not detailed information. But no detailed information was shared. At the February meeting, in regards to the Charahoe Cowboys, Louise stated, when we get correspondence from the community, we should discuss it. To add further insult, the public was denied the opportunity to weigh in. even though in February she also stated, "I'm always willing to listen to different opinions." In the past, Louise herself has complained publicly about not being allowed to speak during town and district forums. This is the height of hypocrisy. She based the decisions to forbid those present to speak on a fear of OMA violations filed against herself and the committee, and that allowing public comment would devolve into a performance review in open session. Very weak reasoning, giving the words of the public cannot violate the OMA. Only those of public officials unable to restrain themselves. According to the district's code of basic management principles and ethics standards for school committee members, you are obligated to accept and encourage a variety of opinions from and communication with all parts of the community, and make public relevant institutional information in order to promote communication and understanding between the school system and the community. Avoid being placed in a position of conflict of interest and refrain from using the committee position for personal gain, and render all decisions based on available facts and by informed independent judgment other than by the influences of individuals or special interest groups. Please take the time to revisit the document and remember that you are tasked by residents and taxpayers to make your first greatest concern the educational welfare of all the students.
Thank you. Jean Arthur, Greg Avedisian, Michelle McCray.
Hi,
Hi, Jean.
my name is Jean Arthur. I am here because though I do not have a child in the Chariho school system, and as a former public high school art teacher in Massachusetts, it has come to my attention that some members of the Chariho School Committee seem to have promulgated a right-wing political agenda, as well as suppressed public discourse regarding Superintendent Picard's contract renewal. There is a Lithuanian riddle that goes, "What lives without a body, speaks without a tongue. Everyone can hear it, yet no one can see it." It is an echo. Instead of being an echo to someone else's rigid ideas of humanity, those who have chosen to practice this with respect to the education system, they might consider embracing, in the words of Karen Armstrong, a constant, flexible intelligence. One has to be able to investigate and encourage finding out more about the world. This does not mean being content with little scraps of sound bites. Instead of waiting for someone to lead, every person needs to just go on and start practicing the golden rule in each of their positions on policies and decisions involving the administrations and staffs of our schools. As Dorothy L. Sayers writes in The Mind of the Maker, the vital power of imaginative work demands a diversity within its unity, and the stronger the diversity, the more massive the unity. It is to the power of unique diversity in our educational spheres where great minds and hearts will forge a unity of intellect and thoughtfulness, so vital in our world today.
Thank you. Greg, Mr. Avedisian, Michelle McCray, Elizabeth Dalton.
Good evening, all. First of all, I would like to apologize to the public for my behavior at the last month's meeting. It was not appropriate for a public meeting, but while my behavior was not appropriate, I believe the chair's decision to not allow public comment for an item on the agenda was not the right one, especially for discussion regarding a decision with such far-reaching consequences. It's unfortunate that those in attendance were not afforded the same opportunity to be heard as those who contacted members of the committee via email anonymously. I have held an elected office on 4 occasions over the span of 8 years and have never denied the public the ability to speak regarding an item on a published agenda, especially when I didn't agree with them. I would expected that the chair would have extended the same courtesy she received in the past when she came before this committee as an ordinary citizen. To my knowledge, she was allowed to speak whenever she came before the school committee before she was appointed. So I must ask, what was the difference then? My frustration not only is with being denied the opportunity to speak, but was also with some of the committee members' inability to clearly state their reasoning for voting as they did. I see this as an expression of contempt for anyone who disagrees with them, and it forces the perception of collusion and a hidden agenda. So again, if there's nothing to hide and the committee was acting in the best interest of the students of Charahoe, I must ask, why deny the public the right to speak and question? I have no expectation that I will agree with any of your decisions, but absent of a discussion, how will we ever know what we can agree on? I'm certain one thing: we will never achieve the best possible outcome for the students of Charahoe unless we are able to have an open and honest exchange of ideas. It is my opinion that the best solution comes from open and honest discussion, and this committee is lacking both. The decision to not extend the superintendent's contract will not promote academic excellence, and the instability from the decisions will ripple through the district, making it harder to hire and retain competent education professionals. This is already happening, as demonstrated by the resignation of the middle school principal.
Greg, 10 seconds, my friend.
One last point. My
Thank you.
experience tells me that the grass is almost never greener on the other side. So please be thoughtful when making decisions like to extend the superintendent's contract. The students of Charahoe are counting on you.
Thank you. Michelle McCray, Elizabeth Dalton, Jordan, Serena, Seniscalchi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I understand this committee is so concerned about taxpayers. Then let's talk about what actually protects taxpayers long-term. A strong, thriving community, including a public school system. Public education is not a burden. It is the backbone of a functioning, stable community. When schools succeed, our property values go up, our neighborhoods are safer, our workforce is stronger, businesses want to move here, families want to stay, everyone benefits. And Charahoe is a successful district. Let's not forget that. We have award-winning career and technical programs, as we saw this evening. Our students outperform state averages on academic measures. We offer high-quality special education services. We have passionate, experienced educators for now who care deeply about their students. We have student athletes who show up with heart. We have musicians who win competitions and graduates who go on to thrive in college, careers, and military service. This is a district we should be proud of. This is a district we should be celebrating, but instead, this committee is tearing it down, gutting it from the inside. You chose to create instability instead of building on the success. You voted not to extend a superintendent who will help deliver that progress. You shut down public comment. You cited secret emails and ignored real community voices. And through it all, you've done nothing to present a vision for how we move forward. When public education fails, everyone pays. Ask any town that's watched its town system fall apart. Property values drop, enrollment declines, businesses leave, families do not buy here, and taxes, they still go up because we're stuck paying for the damage. If you truly care about taxpayers, stop gutting the system that protects their investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan? Jackie, is Jordan here? I'm sorry. That was Michelle McCray that just spoke, right? I'm sorry. I think Elizabeth Dalton is next.
That's me.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
My name is Elizabeth Dalton. I am a Hopkinton resident for more than 30 years, and both of my sons attended Cherahoe schools. The motto of this district is all kids, all of the time. This isn't just a slogan on a website or a banner in a hallway. It's a promise. It's a guiding principle for all of our schools, our faculty, our community. It means that every decision we make, every vote this committee takes, every policy we adopt should be grounded in one simple question: does this help all kids? This means the students who struggle and the ones who excel, the kids in honors classes and kids with IEPs. It means LGBTQIA+ students who need to know their identities are safe and affirmed. It means kids from every corner of every town in this district need to know and feel that they matter equally. All kids, all the time, also means believing in the equity, the diversity, and the inclusion of all students. These are not buzzwords, but commitments. It means building a school system to support the full humanity of every child and removing barriers preventing access for some to the same opportunities as others have. It means making sure that no student feels left out, invisible, or unworthy because of who they are. Throughout the more than 45 years that I have worked as a professional special educator in both direct service to those with disabilities and educating teachers who work with them, I have held to these beliefs, these ideals, and these promises of equality, accessibility, and support. I'm not sure that this committee is living up to those promises. Decisions are being made behind closed doors.
Elizabeth, you have about 10 more seconds. Thank you.
Voices are being shut out. This is not all kids all the time. It's politics, and this is division. And if you believe that your decision not to extend our superintendent's contract for more than one additional year is beneficial to this school district or our kids, I believe that you are very wrong, and this view is shared by many others here in this district. Gina is capable, hardworking, and truly acts on behalf of all students.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. So I have Jordan. Is Jordan here? Jordan is not here. Oh, okay, Jordan. So Jordan, yep, 1 second. And then Jackie Turo and Kathy Solomon.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is Jordan Serino Siniskelki. I'm a lifelong Hopkinton resident, graduated here and was lucky enough to raise a generation of camp kids through Charlestown Recreation, Parks and Rec. The behavior of the Cherahoe School Committee over this past election cycle has been deplorable, reckless, and must raise an immediate, resounding response from the Tri-Town community. Heavily influenced by the extremist group Moms for Liberty, several members of this committee have worked painstakingly to dismantle the foundation that has made Cherahoe an annual mainstay on the top 10 best high schools in Rhode Island. They attempted to change our policies towards discrimination, gender identity, harassment of LGBTQ students, and even still are plotting to dismantle our library media policy. And now they are attempting to oust who they believe may be one of the last people who can stand in their way, Superintendent Gina Picard. When you came for our LGBTQ students, the adults came out in droves, and we made our voices heard despite attempts from the chairperson to dismiss the meeting early. I do remember that. When you came for a qualified and adored leader at this school, it was the kids who came out in droves. Unfortunately, Chairperson Dinsmore learned from the last committee meeting and shut down public comment. A slap in the face to the hundreds who came out to be heard. That is not leadership. That is not democracy, and that is not the way forward for the Chariho School District. I'm almost done. I did not come here to shame you, for it is my belief you cannot be shamed. I did not come here to sway your opinion, for I don't believe it can be swayed. Frankly, I didn't even come here to speak to you. I came here to speak to the people behind me, to remind them of why they're
No,
here.
you have to address your comments to the chair, sir.
Oh, that's totally fine. Well, it's just a reminder for why we're all here and why we need to keep showing up, especially at the ballot box. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie Turo, Kathy Solomon, and Anne Marie Luzon. Is Jackie Turo here? Okay. Kathy Solomon, Anne Marie Luzon, Lucy May.
Hello. I'm Kathy Solomon from Charlestown. The group that many of you on this committee align yourself with, the Forgotten Taxpayers, has a tagline: "We pay for it, we should have a say." I agree with that. In fact, I think most of this room agrees with that. If we're funding this district through our taxes, if we're volunteering, showing up, raising families here, then we should have a say in the decisions that affect our schools. But apparently, Louise Dinsmore doesn't believe that, because when it came time for one of the most important decisions this district had faced in years, whether to extend Superintendent Gina Picard's contract, the public was silenced. People came prepared to speak. They wrote statements. They rearranged schedules. They sat in that room expecting to be heard, and Louise shut it down. No public comment, no discussion. Just a pre-written motion and a quick vote. That was it. So tell me, where was our say? You can't claim to care about taxpayers and then refuse to hear from them. You can't build your credibility around, "We pay for it, we should have a say," and then close your ears the minute the public disagrees with you. If you're going to campaign on the slogan, live by it, because right now it's pretty clear. You're happy to take our money, but you have no interest in hearing our voices. That is hypocrisy, and we're not going to forget it.
Thank you. Anne Marie Luzon, Lucy May, William Cotton.
Anne Marie Luzon, Charlestown. At the last school committee meeting, just minutes before the vote to decide on the extension of Superintendent Picard's contract, we heard from students who stood up and spoke about how much they love their schools. They talked about the incredible opportunities they've had here. They talked about the teachers who go above and beyond, programs that challenge them, and the pride they feel being part of the Chariho community. And then, right after those students finished speaking, this committee turned around and told them, without saying it outright, that none of that mattered, that their experiences didn't count, that the leadership behind their successes wasn't worth keeping. You sat there, nodded, smiled politely, and then voted to destabilize the very system that just praised them. You told them to their faces that everything they love about Chariho is either not real or not important enough to preserve. What kind of message is that? You didn't just vote against extending Superintendent Picard's contract, you voted against the very story those students were trying to tell. You told them the district they were proud of is broken. You told them their voices are not valuable. You showed them that no matter how no matter how thoughtfully or passionately they speak, some adults in power have already made up their minds. And let's be clear, those students didn't show up by accident. They were here because they care. They believed that by participating, by speaking up, they could make a difference. They believed this committee would listen. Instead, you gave them a lesson in political theater. You showed them that public comment can be denied, that positive experiences can be dismissed, that leadership can be torn down without real explanation, and that their voices, so full of hope and pride, can be completely ignored. You do not get to praise student engagement while erasing what they just said. You do not get to claim the district is strong while not extending the contract of the person who helped make it that way. And you absolutely do not get to pretend this is about serving students when you humiliated them in the same breath. They were watching, they were listening, and you should be ashamed of the example you set. Thank you.
Lucy May, William Cotton, and Virginia from Hopkinton. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. Lucy.
Hi, my name's Lucy May, and I'm a 2024 graduate from Charo High School. I would love to continue to talk about Ms. Picard because I love her dearly, but I would like to talk about the non-renewal of Madame Latham's contract. In middle school, when
I don't know that we can talk about that because that's on the agenda for later. Is that correct?
Will I be able to talk about that later?
Yes. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, there's two other people that would also like to speak about that.
So I would say when we get to that item on the agenda, then we'll have discussion and you can come up.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so was William's comments about the teacher reductions and Virginia's comments about the teacher reductions as well? And Penelope, okay. So then next we have Tom Marin, Dora Vasquez-Hellner, and Derek McInnes, and that would conclude public comment.
Good evening. My name is Tom Marin. I'm a proud resident of Wyoming for the past 2.5 years. Thank you, school committee, for your service. Thank you, Superintendent Picard, for your service. It's great to be back. Oh, I can't talk over there. So it's great to be back. 55 years ago, I was a student teacher here. We had a great walkout for the first Earth Day in America, and Mr. Pellegrino led the walkout. We were outside for 15 minutes on a beautiful day. We had a good time. So I came here as a student teacher after 2 years in Vietnam, and that launched my 13-year career in education. But I'm here today to comment on the 7 members of the school committee and their decision who have been in social media declared lawbreakers. They're lawbreakers. And I was glad to hear that what they did, because I thought it was a long time overdue. So I applaud them. The 24,000 workers at Electric Boat do not have a 3-year guarantee. They do not have a 1-year guarantee beyond the 3 years. They don't have any of that. To expect to be entitled to that is just kind of bizarre to me. So I commend the people, the 7 conservatives, or 7 school committee members, most importantly, that they had the will, they had the courage to take a stand and say no. And here's what they said no to. And I've seen this over the last 2 years in different shapes and forms. So the bottom line is it's not really rocket science as to why they made their decision. But by the way, it was really great to see the diversity of the speakers here tonight. So I'm glad I'm at least part of that diversity to express a different point of view, a little bit different. So the way the superintendent treated her school committee a few months ago in open session, I'm sure was part of this decision. When Mrs. Picard boldly misinformed the school committee that the Charahoe Act barred them from tabling the vote on the election of the chair's position, she did that. She also misinformed the school committee about not being indemnified. I think this is called a lie. If they voted to table voting on the chair position until the next meeting. She brazenly inserted herself into the dialogue to scare and bully the 7 conservatives who are lawbreakers, and then
Mr. Marin, 15 seconds. 10
stir
seconds.
them in the direction that she wanted them. So she had no problem giving erroneous, fake legal advice, and the list goes on. And I have to say this personally, when I first saw her in action at a budget hearing, unintentionally, unknowingly perhaps, she was rough on people, the speakers who came to the podium. She has a condescending attitude that just bothered me immensely, and dismissed them and interrupted them. And of course, that's not a reason to dismiss anybody from a job unless your boss says so. But
Thanks,
anyway,
Mr.
thanks
Marin.
for listening to me.
Thank you. Dora Vasquez-Hellner and Derek McInnes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dora Vasquez-Hellner.
Army combat veteran, 23 years, resident of Ashaway now for approximately 23 years as well. The purpose of my visit this evening is to promote a scholarship program that the Veterans of Foreign Wars conducts every year. I was invited this evening by Chairwoman Dinsmore because we have attempted on 2 consecutive years to seek participation from the Charahoe School District with no success. The scholarship program that we offer through the VFW is held here at the local level through our VFW post in Westerly, and it travels all the way up to the national level. It is first with the high school students. The national winner could possibly win a scholarship of $35,000. The middle school student could possibly win a scholarship of $5,000. It requires for the middle school student to prepare an essay. For the high school student, they have to prepare a speech. And the theme for the 2 levels is, how are you showing patriotism and support for our country? It is a very lucrative program. And again, I am hopeful that the Charahoe School Committee will promote this program at the 2 different schools, the high school and the middle school, and hopefully we can get participants from Charahoe. We have been successful with getting participation through Westerly at the middle school and the high school, and we have found that the success of this program rests with a teacher at each location. Again, I remain hopeful as this is a win-win-win situation for all students in the community. First, for the parents, as we all know, I am a parent as well.
Dora,
that
10 seconds.
Financially, it is a struggle, especially these days. It is a win for the student to display all their skills that they have acquired through their experience, academic experience here at Charahoe. And then it is definitely a win for the Charahoe School District to showcase the quality and caliber of students that you are producing. Thank you.
And Mr. McInnes. So you mentioned here that you signed up for the French language program. So is this about the future agenda item as well, sir?
So this is less about an individual, more about the program itself.
Okay.
So for the record, I'm Derek McGinnis. I'm a resident of Richmond. And I've heard the same reports about plans to eventually disestablish the French language program. And I view that with concern, not just because there's no other venue in the state funded to provide French education. You can go online, ACN, funded by RIDE, and get Spanish, Chinese, Portuguese, no French. This is the only place where students could get a French language, and I think it'd be a shame if they lost that opportunity. If you travel around the world, French is one of the most common languages outside of English or Spanish spoken, well, or Chinese. Go to Africa, 60% of the population there speaks French. Go to Europe, it's the #2 language there. And I think robbing the students of the opportunity to study and learn that language would be a mistake here. I would just ask that you reconsider your thoughts, recognizing declining enrollment might be an issue, but I think getting rid of a program wholeheartedly that offers so many benefits, especially given the Franco-American, French-Canadian presence throughout the region, Greater New England, is shutting down an important venue for students. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes public forum. Thank you very much for your comments. We're going to move on to item 8, policy, voluntary change of the elementary district. This was requested by member Purcell, and it looks like we received some updated information here. And I will turn it over to Jessica at this time.
Okay, thank you. So my main concern with requesting this policy for review is that I see more families that are needing this policy because of the redistricting of elementary school lines and the consolidation process. So I reviewed the previous discussion of this policy, which was in January 2020. And at the time, one of the main goals was to allow students to attend a school of choice based on a specialty of their interest. Now, in addition to allowing this, my main goal is to address the concerns with transition from 4 schools to 3 and the transition from enrollment in town of residence to district enrollment based on transportation lines. I also reviewed the map of district lines, which does have a note that says future changes to the map will only affect newly enrolled students who do not have currently enrolled siblings. So this is one of the issues that I foresaw and that that family also spoke to me about, which is that their 2 older children were in Richmond, they live in Richmond, and their 2 younger children were then districted to Charlestown. So they would need this policy to request that those children went to Richmond instead of Charlestown. So my suggestions to this policy were basically that there were 2 sections of it that were very similar. And I provided this document today. I know that that was last minute, but I suggested that we strike the whole first section and add an introduction paragraph, and then I made some additions to the remaining section that I thought addressed the concerns I had and the new scenario that we're undergoing. If someone has a preference, if they would like me to go through all of these.
So Jess, I have a question, or I think this is more of a process. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. I think this, for me, is more of a process point that I want to make. So when we were here in March and there were a number of policies discussed, if you will, to go to the policy subcommittee, my understanding is that this has to go to the policy subcommittee for review and input, and
It does not have to, no. Our formations of policy says that we can review and make changes in a meeting.
But doesn't that usurp the purpose of the policy subcommittee? I don't know, any other thoughts on that? And I appreciate your due diligence on this. I mean, I have not had a chance to read personally the material in front of us because I received it at like 5:15 tonight, just before executive session was going to start. So personally, I would not be able to vote on this. I would recuse because I haven't read it. And that's not to show you any disrespect because you put a lot of work and time and energy and effort into this, but
I understand.
that's just my opinion. Polly, and then the superintendent would
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Gina. You go first.
I was just going to say, so in your formation of policies, which is probably the policy you should go to first, because that will help sort of reset the expectations because you have a lot of new members. But because this policy doesn't impact the way teachers do instruction, you do have the ability as a committee to talk about changes because it's management. However, the policy subcommittee was put into place to make sure you could sort of get to a consensus so that those who are the most interested in that policy, as long as you don't have more than 6, you can continue with your subcommittee. If there's a majority of this committee that wants to be, because it's a management right, because it's part of the management policies, then you should put it on the next agenda if anyone needs more time. But you always have the ability, when it's a policy like this that's not going to impact students in instructional, teaching and learning, changes to, for example, report cards. If it is going to impact their transportation or you're going to change something like that, then it definitely should be part of the policy review because we want to put that in front of school improvement teams. So it all depends on and I apologize, I did not get a chance, Ms. Purcell, to see your changes, but because if it's anything with transportation, so just to clarify, the Charahoe Act has provisions around transportation as it relates to their school of residence, which means it's the school they're assigned to. So if they're a parent, like you said, there's a family that has 2 older children at Richmond, and then the newer sibling has been reassigned based on the lines to Charlestown. That parent can opt either school. Now, since I've been here, I have never moved a child that we voluntarily transferred to another school. I don't think it's good practice, personally. I think once we place a child there, I consider that child based on the enrollment, and we've never had to turn a family away. However, enrollment, as we have tighter budgets, gets tricky, so it could impact. So because of all of the enrollment pieces and how the committee are in the middle of negotiations, I think that it's probably best to either put it directly on next month's agenda to give the entire committee, but if there's more than 6 members who are interested, then it definitely should come to your June meeting. If not, you could put it in policy prior to that meeting and then discuss it.
Thank you. Polly?
I was going to make a suggestion that we put policy 1, voluntary change of elementary district, into the policy subcommittee, and we can iron out all the little details. But on the second one, the fundraising policy, I think it's something that needs to be addressed immediately. So yeah, I got that. So can I propose to vote to move the voluntary change of elementary district to the policy subcommittee?
Make a
You want to make
Make
your
a
motion?
That's
Yes.
my motion.
Okay, so we have a
That's my
second
motion.
by Laura. Any discussion on that?
Yes.
Jess?
I would prefer that because I have provided specific changes, I know that you haven't had the time to review them. I would prefer that we table this to the next school committee meeting and discuss it. Everything that I think would be appropriate is laid out here. So I think that giving the committee time to review and then voting on at the next school committee is appropriate.
So my comment on that is, are there other things on the policy subcommittee agenda for you to discuss? I don't know when the last time you've had a policy subcommittee meeting, but is it time? November? Is it time?
This is the most timely.
Right. So what I'm saying is could the policy subcommittee meet before the next school committee meeting? Is that possible?
It depends on what's on the agenda.
Okay.
So typically they have, but unfortunately, based on recent agendas, it hasn't come to fruition. So typically during budget season, we don't hold policy meetings. They usually start up again in June and then go through the winter. And then when budget starts, we sort of sunset because then we need school improvement teams and it takes a little bit of time.
Okay. So I think, my preference is if the policy subcommittee could meet, if that's possible, before the next school committee meeting, but I'm one vote, so. Craig and Karen. Yes,
Do we have a second?
we do have a second.
Why are we discussing any more than that motion?
Right.
People had opinions and they wanted to continue it?
But the point is, the motion, we have to address that. That's what we address right now.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, we have a second. Karen?
Can I make an amendment that if the policy subcommittee cannot meet, that we will bring this back to the school committee?
I second that amendment.
Is that okay?
So, but we had a motion on the floor, so how can we?
So I'm just amending
second
it,
an amendment? So somebody's gonna have to withdraw, I think.
No, I just added it. So Polly, you made a motion to put this on the policy subcommittee.
Yep.
And it was seconded. I'm adding an amendment that if this policy subcommittee cannot meet prior to the next school committee meeting, that we bring this policy directly to the school committee. We'll have plenty of time to review in the meantime.
So so just to clarify then, are you looking at a time constraint here? You want to get this policy reworked before the
Yeah, before
elementary
the school
schools
year, right.
disperse? Correct. Okay, I just want to make sure
Yep.
we're clear on all that.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second.
No, we have an amendment
We
we
have an
have to vote on first.
We have to do the amendment.
Then
Okay.
we vote on the initial motion.
So Madam Clerk, can you read the amendment, please?
So the amendment is that if the policy subcommittee is not able to meet before the June school committee regular meeting, then it should be moved to the school committee's regular agenda for June.
Okay.
But that's a little vague too, because in the past, the policy subcommittee has met before the school committee meeting, but just before, like the hour before. And that doesn't afford you enough time to put it on the, whatever we discuss in there usually goes into the next agenda. So there has to either be a meeting in between where we can get it on the agenda before the school committee meeting, which I'm fine with. Just throwing that out there. I just want to make sure everybody's aware. So we're not vague and say, oh, we're meeting right before the school committee meeting, but we can't do anything.
But the amendment solves that issue.
I said timely.
Okay, do the minutes reflect Do your notes reflect timely? Okay, it now does, right?
In a timely manner, which would give it enough time to get onto the agenda.
The June,
Then this will just go on to the agenda. Thank you.
okay. Is that satisfactory? Okay,
I think Craig seconded it.
we do, yep, we do have a second. Okay, all in favor of that motion?
This is the amendment, right?
Yes. Aye. Okay, that's unanimous.
Now the
Now we vote on the motion.
original motion.
Okay, and Madam Clerk, can you read the original motion, please?
So based on our agenda, the motion is to bring the I'm sorry, could I have you?
Yes.
Thank you. The voluntary change to elementary district policy before the policy subcommittee in a timely manner.
No.
To address the changes by Jessica Purcell, correct? And then if that cannot be done in a timely manner, it should go before the June school committee meeting.
That's the amended.
That is the entirety of the motion with the amendment.
Okay,
Okay.
all in favor? Polly? Okay, looks like that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to item policy 8.2, fundraising policy change waiver for Richmond Elementary School playground, requested by member Linda Lyall. Linda?
I think what happened was when the person from the PTO came at the end of that meeting, I asked for that to be put on a future agenda item.
Yes.
So at this point, I'm looking at the fundraising and commercial activity policy. I know for a fact that we have waived it in the past. Is that true, Ms. Picard?
Yes, the
Yes.
committee determined not to change policy, but
Right.
they allowed the athletic director to have, for the athletics, a waiver, and if there were any additional changes, they would have to come in front of the committee again.
Correct. Okay. So the waive, I guess the part of the policy that we would waive would be the sentence that says, as such, fundraising activities should not be used for the purpose of funding items that should be included in the school budget. Is that the language that needs to be waived? So at this point in time, I'm asking the committee to consider waiving this piece of the policy so that they can raise money for the playground.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion,
I
sir.
second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Greg?
Are you doing this just for Richmond Elementary School, or you include in Ashway?
That's a good question. I mean, this was originally.
As your finance person, I would advise you to include Ashway, so we're not back here next month when they're trying to raise money for their playground.
I know it was a specific request by the PTO president because she was here pleading with us. I would be glad to amend the amendment to include Ashway.
Gina, did you have a comment? I'm sorry.
I'll let you finish this and then I can.
Okay.
Craig?
Mr. Zenyan, are you implying that they're probably going to ask
I'm
the same question?
going to address that piece, but if you want to just first focus on this, I can.
So, Mrs. Picard, I'll take it from Greg. Mrs. Picard, are you implying that they're probably going to ask the same question?
So, with the elementary planning facility plan, as many of you know, even the Ashway playground has been pushed off. So it's a matter of time. Briefly, an update, we've been working with the Department of Education around our capital plan, because we do have one for the main campus. It's still a capital plan. It's not using bond dollars. We will use capital dollars based on our reimbursements. And RIDE has informed me through the School Building Authority that we can add our comments, which Mr. Zenny and I have done with our Colliers, our project manager, to incorporate the Richmond playground for this summer, as well as the Ashway playground for the upcoming summer, based on when we can get them done. With Richmond as a priority, Ashway probably isn't far behind, but both will be addressed with the final approval of our Stage 2 in front of RIDE for the campus, not as the bond, but as the district plan for those two. They understand the need of the district. They understood, they received some follow-up from some of the PTO members, and they were happy to assist.
So, Linda, did you want to amend your motion?
Chair?
Yes?
Better yet, I'll rescind my second. She rescinds her motion. She restates her motion. I'll second her motion.
I'm going to rescind my motion.
Okay, great.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my new motion is to waive the fundraising and commercial activity fundraising policy
to include both Ashway and Richmond playgrounds. So it's for the ability for the PTO to be able to fundraise.
I second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this?
I'm sorry.
Limit it to say the PTO to fundraise.
Well, that's what was requested by the PTO.
I think that's who's requesting the waiver.
Right.
So you're doing it specific to the request.
Right.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Thea, I think, wants to speak. Please come forward. Thank you.
Oh, it's Thea. Thank you.
Good evening. Can
Good
you guys hear
evening.
me?
Yes.
Thea Brennan, Richmond. I am the Richmond PTO president that came before you last month. I thank you for putting this on the agenda and hopefully working towards a waiver. I do have a question before you vote. It's my understanding that the school itself cannot fundraise outside of the budget. So I'm not sure if it needs to be a waiver to include school personnel also to participate in fundraising. But I would ask for that to be included, and I appreciate that you're including Ashway.
So typically with the waiver, and this is up to the committee, it means that they're not changing policy at this time, but based on the need of the request, that this waiver would exist for this purpose.
Right.
For both Ashway and Richmond playgrounds. So I just want to make sure I understand, Ms. Brennan, what specifically are you looking to add?
So the way I'm hearing the motion stated is that the PTO can fundraise. I just want to make sure it's encompassing of if staff are also wanting to.
Well, it's parent-teacher organization.
Yes.
Okay, so that will count then.
Yes.
Okay, done. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Thank you for those comments, Thea. All in favor of this motion? Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, we're preparing for school improvement, as we know, our schools are finalizing that with their school improvement team. So we are going to, I'm going to ask those of you, because we're going to bring the screen down. So if you're sitting in the line of sight, you should move to the front of the seats. This is how we do presentations. If you're in a viewer, you can still see, feel free to stay, but myself and Dr. Camella will be presenting from the podium.
Thank you.
I think Craig went down below. Are you okay to see where you are? No, I'm fine. I think I can see. And I have read it, so I've seen the presentation.
Screen and all of you. I feel like I'm the MC when I get to do this. So good evening, and I'm here tonight to provide an update on our school improvement planning. And I'm just the pre-show. The real show is our Charahoe Alternative Learning Academy, who has prepared a wonderful presentation. But this is to give you a semblance of what all of our schools work towards, and then submit to me for the end of the year. And it's posted on your online, and then the school committee reviews those as well in June. So, last month we shared our district strategic goals, and we've shared that we've made statistically significant gains. What does that mean? 3 to 5 points. Evidence-based research will say when you can grow 3 to 5 points, it is statistically significant. What we want to really share is that in 2019 in Rhode Island, the Education Accountability Act was passed. What does that mean? That means that every school has to create, not just in Charahoe, in the entire state of Rhode Island, a clear, measurable plan for improvement. These plans must be based on proven strategies, what the state calls tiered research, evidence-based research. And our district and our school teams, as well as our school improvement teams, take this work very seriously as we using data to guide instruction. I appreciate some of our speakers tonight mentioning the data. We have robust in-district assessments. Our school committee receives updates at these meetings. And I know sometimes it can be a lot because there's a lot of information that happens at meetings, but I always appreciate when members of the public remember and share our wonderful data. So, what's critical to understand? So we see a lot of these words up here, and what does that really mean? One is oftentimes we're compared to businesses. And now we heard a member of the public talk about electric boat. Education is an electric boat. We're not creating a product. We are growing minds. Our students are more than just a data point, but the data is important. We must see growth. That's the goal. So when we think about the mission versus the market, and you think about what I've talked about, and you see these goals, and what does SMART mean? SMART is, it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable. And why is that word achievable important? Because everybody's starting from a different place. And we as educators have to recognize a starting point. So while 15 points may be significant for one student, 3 points is significant for another. And it all matters. So next slide, please, Dr. Camilla. So when you think about this, oftentimes this chart goes through why we're not running a business and how it's different. Because it really is important to understand because we're not creating a product. So when you think mission versus market, we have a mission in education. But however, there's plenty of mission statements out there attached to companies. But we're not looking for a market. We're not trying to figure out who our customers are. We know who they are. They're our children. And my position, while it is the head teacher of the district, it is not the CEO of a business. Why is that important? Because our principals aren't CEOs of their school. Because we're not a market. It's about making sure we have to adapt and be flexible for every child. Because guess what? They're different. And just when we think we figure it out, they change. And then they move on and they graduate and they go to the next grade. So the flexibility in education is key. But the role of a superintendent is legislated. It says that my responsibilities are first and foremost students. Sometimes I sound like a broken record. I don't mean to. But when I talk about the law and the legislation and the roles and responsibilities, it's because our students, until they're 18, they don't vote. So we're advocates for them. The superintendent and the school committee are the advocates for our kids. All of you in the community advocate for who sits in these seats so that we are making sure you hold us to those roles and responsibilities. So I wanted to put it in a way that maybe help some people who we heard, even just one tonight, but it was one, and I've heard other members, and they have since left, but mention businesses. So think of it like a restaurant. If I want to serve and open my restaurant, I can decide Italian, French, Asian, which cuisine do I want to try? Maybe I want to do a little bit of everything. Maybe it's more American. In schools, in education, in our district, we don't get to make changes to the menu. We don't get to decide how much money we get. We don't even get to determine all the recipes. But we know one thing. We must serve every child, including those with disabilities, those who are excelling, and those who have trauma. No exceptions, no substitutions. Using a budget controlled by state laws, businesses can say no. Schools cannot. Our job isn't to sell the product. It's to grow their minds, support their families, and educate students regardless of their needs. So we provided the restaurant example. Let's take some of this and go a little bit deeper. I noted on the previous slide the difference between a CEO and a superintendent. This presentation is online under the superintendent's e-updates, or it will be right after this meeting. This slide breaks it down. The superintendent, AKA me for now, is like the chef who has to feed everyone, including children with allergies, picky eaters, and those who speak different languages. And all on a legislated and strict budget and the recipes created by our lawmakers. The CEO, on the other hand, would manage or own their restaurant. They have the ability to choose a menu, change the menu, charge what they want, determine the ingredients they want to use, and decide what cuisine they will serve. And if something doesn't sell, they can just take it off the menu. A superintendent must serve all students, follow the law, align to standards, and ensure every child learns and grows. There are no opt-outs, there are no substitutions. Our educators must meet the needs of all students. We can't guess, we have to use research. You will hear from CALA tonight. They have done extensive research since I started. A lot of the CALA redesign that you'll hear about in a little bit is really about the district redesign. CALA is one of the most of our success stories, and the strategies that they're using have been implemented and begin to make the shift for our entire district to think about our students in very different ways to make sure that we are adapting and we're flexible. Never stop growing. So last month we shared our district work, and it was truly a proud moment for all of us. And we talked about multi-tiered systems of support, also called MTSS, because as educators we do love our acronyms. MTSS is a proven strategy or systems of support that helps all students, whether they're excelling on grade level or need support. It's not a trend, it's not flashy, but it's what high-performing districts and countries use to close achievement gaps and raise outcomes for all students. In education, our goals are set through collaboration. It is not just set by our school committee. They will approve that. But RIDE actually commended our district because we had 65 members on the Vision 2026 on our steering committee. We will be preparing for Vision 2029 for next year. It'll be a planning year because we're sunsetting Vision 2026. And like we showed you last month, we are making statistically significant gains in every one of our strategic goals. And that is thanks to the educators and students and families in this room and who are watching or who are not watching and attending to other business tonight. Our school improvement teams act as an extension of the various work that happens. They're parents, they're teachers, they are students, they are community members, and they must reflect and look at the data and make decisions. This doesn't happen in isolation. I do not facilitate those meetings. I am a member of the team. So the goal is to ensure that every voice is heard, and then the final result does come to me, because as the educational leader in the district, my responsibility is to make sure that we are aligned to meeting the needs of all of our students and growing. The vision of a graduate work that you heard about is the very cornerstone of all of our school improvement plans. These are our learner qualities, designed to shape students into well-rounded individuals who can thrive in various environments. These learner qualities have been the foundation of our district in our strategic plan, and when you review the plans once again, you will notice that they are still a core foundation. So, why is this important? Here's the truth. Growth in education is not fast, and it doesn't come with profits, but it does come with value, and it is an asset, and every growth should be seen as valuable. As I said, and I'm going to let my assistant, Dr. Camilla, come up shortly and do the math lesson, 3 to 5 points. We have some Charahoe success stories that we will share, and actually all of our schools are growing. But really, in order to clearly portray this real-life example of what you would see in school improvement plans, whether it's elementary, middle, or high, I'm going to welcome to the microphone our academic fellow, who was with us last month discussing MTSS. She is also one of our leads on this work. And our Ashley Smith, a middle school teacher, who's also our science content leader, who will talk about the secondary. And Carrie will focus on elementary, and I welcome you both to the microphone. If Carrie, you want to come first, and then we'll have Ashley.
All right, good evening, everyone. Okay, so these analogies that you see up here help us make sense of how students grow in the early grades. And a great example is how in the lower elementary grades, a strong emphasis is placed on phonics instruction and developing students' abilities to decode or lift the words up off the page. This foundational skill enables students to read fluently and begin to comprehend text effectively. As students progress, the shift moves them from learning to read towards reading to learn, empowering them to gain knowledge and meaning from what they read across all of the content areas. So when we're writing these very important goals, we write them so that they're relevant and achievable to ensure that every student experiences success. This doesn't happen overnight. It's not a race. We're slowly and steadily building the skills that create the kind of growth that lasts. Pass it on to Ashley.
At the secondary level, middle and high school students take on more complex tasks. This slide shows how our goals shift with age, moving from foundational learning to career and college readiness. For example, middle school learning in science focuses heavily on engaging students in the science and engineering practice of planning scientific investigations to prepare students in high school to not only plan, but to carry out their own investigative steps to collect their own data. This further develops their analytical skills and encourages critical thinking and problem-solving skills when presented with real-life scientific phenomena. Students in middle school work towards standard-based performance expectations in physical science, earth and space science, and life science at each grade level to prepare them for the rigorous course requirements in the high school. This analogy supports that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Thanks, Ashley. Good evening, everybody. I was telling the superintendent all her talk about restaurants. Now I'm starving. Our next slide talks about something the superintendent talked about earlier, and that difference between like students moving at different points. So when we talk about students moving 10 points or 10 percentage points, it's different. So 10 points means that could be a jump from 50 to 60, or 10% means it's a jump of 50 to 55. So that's different because we know that all students move at different levels. My own high school transcript would tell you that. It's amazing I'm here speaking anyway. So the next slide really talks about a real life example. So we were fortunate, as we talked about earlier tonight, as the superintendent sent out an email about a week and a half ago, we found out that our SAT scores jumped 11 points, right? So we went from 35 to 46% of our students showing proficiency on the SAT. I've said it here before, I don't believe the SAT is an appropriate high stakes assessment, but it is what we have. And so we use it to measure as the best of our ability. We know that the state, its average went up as well, but our overall average outpaced the state, which we continue to do year after year. So we know that we're continuing to show improvement. But when we talk about that growth in terms of percentage points, it was really a 31% increase, right? So that's when we talk about growth in students and achievement levels, it's really, really important that we're using the right language to describe that growth and how we talk about students. We've also talked about, and I presented this on this at our November school committee meeting when we talked about students meeting proficiency and students nearly meeting proficiency. So this slide is really powerful because what it says is that many of our students were just 1 to 3 questions away from meeting expectations. So that tells us that our instruction is on target and that with a little more time and support, those students will cross the line. It is also important to remind us that our students in grades 3 to 8 take their assessments beginning at the end of March and early April, and that our high school students take their SAT in April. There are over 50 instructional days left after they've taken their assessment. And so tonight, Mr. Bentley was talking about our progress monitoring data. I shared our progress monitoring data at our November meeting as well. And our progress monitoring data, when we look at it in June, shows us that an increasing number continue to move and grow and achieve at the levels even after they take the RICAS and the SAT. And this is also shows the importance that our high school achieves a 97% graduation rate, which is indicative of a K-12 model that the superintendent talked about earlier this evening. Another focus of the work that's being done, we know that attendance, and the state has taken this on as well, attendance matters. So when we talk about students coming to school, missing just a couple days a month, well, students that miss 2 days a month, we would consider chronically absent, okay, because that is the definition. And we know through survey works, when parents indicated whether they thought 2 days was important or not, that the majority of parents indicated that students could probably miss 2 days and still achieve at the similar levels that other students. And we know that's not true because our own data, as you can see here, shows that. So when students attend on a regular basis, whether it's ELA, math, or RICAS and ELA, math, and SAT, there's a difference of between 19 and 27% of kids who come on a daily basis versus kids who are absent 2 or more days. 2 or more days a month, that's pretty significant. So we need to change that mindset of our parents to understand that like our students need to be in school because when they're in school, they achieve. And that's why it's important to be here when you can. Our next slide, one of my favorite slides, is this quadrant of success. I wasn't there when it was presented, but we continually refer to it. And so what it tells us is that Charahoe is one of 11 districts in the state that continues to provide quality education in both proficiency and financially, fiscally responsible. But some new data that came out recently shows that in the recent RIPEC report, that Charahoe is one of 10 districts considered underfunded, meaning that we have several budget years with less than 2% increase in local contributions. This graph shows Charahoe is one of only 3 districts that remain in that quadrant of success despite being underfunded. That means we are stretching every dollar and still delivering results that outperform many other districts.
That's good.
So, Charahoe schools will continue to invest in what works, use data to guide every move, and advocate for the resources our students deserve. I do want to thank our entire school community. I want to say thank you for your beautiful comments. I'm very humbled. I recognize that this is always a team effort. And I am never the smartest person in the room, but I will always be able to listen, think, and determine, will this help all kids? That's where I push the team. That's where I always ask them, don't tell me what you have. Tell me what the goal is 5 years, 10 years, and always thinking forward. And I do want to welcome our Charahoe Alternative Learning Academy team who's going to present their school improvement plan. And I do want to publicly thank them, as I know the last year of redesign has been very, very difficult, but they were champions. And is Katie still here? Katie is, everyone knows how nice Katie is. When I tell you, Katie didn't even say happy birthday to me before I finished page 40 to 44. I had to get that to Katie before I was allowed to get the happy birthday. But what I can tell you is, as your superintendent, the Cal redesign has reshaped not only the Charahoe Alternative Learning Academy, but the district for the future.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian. Oh, let's see. There we go. My name is Brian Tatro. I am the director of the Charahoe Alternative Learning Academy and all the alternative learning programs in the district since July of 2020. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for having us tonight, and I'd also like to highlight the unwavering support of the superintendent and the entire central office administration over the past 5 years, which has really set us up for the success we're going to present to you. Next slide. Before I get into the details of our school, I'd like to delve into I'd like to talk just a little bit about alternative schools in general. So these characteristics are present in all alternative learning schools across the country. Clearly, we're an alternative school, and there are many like us all over the country. Particularly, we've looked into schools in Colorado, and Colorado alone has 94 alternative schools, 21,000 students, 2.5% of their total student population. They also have state legislation tied to the criteria that identifies these schools. And the State Department of Colorado Education tailors their accountability systems and their success metrics specifically for these students. In Rhode Island, we're one of only 3 alternative schools, which is why the Department of Ed in Rhode Island does not yet have the type of system set up that Colorado does. And the operative word is yet, so we're working on that. If you'd like to learn more, a great resource link there is the National Alternative Education Association website, which showcases a nationwide network of alternative educators dedicated to advocating for alternative ed and providing professional development. Okay. All right, so this is who we are. We're currently serving, we have 69 students on rolls, 11 of which are in the K-4 program at Ashaway Elementary School. 75% of our students have IEPs or 504 plans, and 40% of those students all take at least one class at their home school, either Ashaway Elementary School, Career Tech Center, high school, or Charrow Middle School. We have 10 teachers, 7 BMAs, clinicians, 4 of them currently, and we also 5 of our teachers are certified in special education. So the clinical day program. CALA is made up of 2 programs. One is the clinical day program. A lot of people don't understand this, but the clinical day program of the CDP, you have to have an IEP to get into the program. It is an educational placement determined by the IEP team. And that serves K through 12. Next. The alternative learning program is for any student in grades 7 through 12, regardless of whether or not they have an IEP. It's an application and acceptance process. We currently have 17 students on a waiting list. I think I actually got 2 more applications today. It's become quite competitive to get into the program because we're trying to not just provide a place where kids might think it's easier or they want to be with their friends. It's a place where we need students to be engaged and want a different outcome for what, they haven't had success in whatever school they're coming from. So it's a different animal. The ALP and CDP are 2 completely different things, although are housed in the same building. So, okay. So I'd like to go over some highlights. What I'd say I'm probably the most proud of is the graduation of 40 students from 2020 to 2024. And we also have 15 more on June 6th. So
Great.
Very happy about that. Along the way, we have been recognized by the governor and the Department of Ed for improved test scores on RICAS. In 2023, we had the District Teacher of the Year, Ms. Danielle Bruno. We also had the Support Professional of the Year, Ms. Wendy Gillum. And in 2024, Rhode Island Environmental Teacher of the Year, Ms. Adrienne Buckley, who's in the audience with a few of her colleagues, Ms. Cassie Rabbit, and Kathleen Wilson. So quite proud of all the hard work our teachers and students are doing. So finally, we move along to the redesign vision. So this visual illustrates the work that we've done to get to this stage of our journey and how we'll continue to expand and enhance our efforts for future growth. Before I introduce our next speakers, who will highlight the details of the work, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that all of our recent success and steady improvement would not be possible without the dedication and effort of our teachers, staff, and students. All credit for our significant progress starts and ends there. And I couldn't be happier to have some staff and a student of ours with us to present. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Hooper, our ALP history teacher and job coach, who will speak to you about experiential learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tatro. I'm going to tell everyone a secret. Even though I'm a school teacher, I do not like presenting in front of a crowd. So this is me outside of my comfort zone. And I want to thank the students who are here still. I'm sure it feels like a very long day. I just want to bullet a couple points about my role as a job coach at CALA. What does it mean? It means that I try to prepare students to get into the real world before they actually have to get there. Before they graduate, I want them to have the skills to find a job, keep a job, and be successful. We do this in a number of ways. We're partnered with Junior Achievement. It's a great organization. They bring consultants in. They work with our kids. They create resumes. We conduct mock interviews. We create interest inventories. We attend field trips with businesses, and they get to learn every aspect of that business and why it's successful. Another thing we do is we reach out to community resources like the Wesley Education Center. We went to their open house. Lots of careers that can get a kid kick-started into a great career. The other thing that we do is we do internships in our program, and this gives the students the opportunity to live in two worlds, the school world and the work world. Internships give them the opportunity to earn small amount of credit, school credit, and a small stipend. We've seen an increase in attendance and graduation rates since we started our internship program. And our internships teach our students how to catalog hours, keep a schedule, write reflection journals, and probably most importantly, how to deal with a boss or a manager. Internships give our students the opportunity to lean on school where they are comfortable as they explore career opportunities. To summarize my role as a job coach, I want to create citizens who are ready to learn and become productive citizens before they even leave school. So that's that, and I'm going to introduce my tallest student, Kyle. Thank you.
You did fine.
Good afternoon. My name is Kyle Winan. I'm a future senior graduate of 2025 from CALA Alternative. Before going into CALA, I had less than 5 credits, and I was more than likely to not graduate. And then I got accepted into CALA my sophomore year, and immediately was introduced into a way safer and more productive working environment where I learned better and just all around was doing better. Within 2 years, I was doing so good that I was ahead of schedule for graduation and needed something to do. So CALA decided, they all came together, Mr. Hooper and a couple other teachers and Mr. Tatro came together and made a plan for me, an internship where I would go to Ashway Elementary CALA Academy every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and be a TA. And because of this, it opened up my eyes, and it was a good experience for me, and it made me realize that this is a good job opportunity, and this is what I want to do for my future. So I want to thank CALA for helping me with everything, and thank my parents for always pushing me to be better. Thank you.
I am Danny Stefanski. I'm one of the behavior managements that actually worked with Kyle on the ALP side. Very happy that he's grown so much and I've got to see all of that. And one of the big things that Kyle has learned to love and do is part of our social emotional learning program, and that's the SEL. They do it daily. It helps students learn what happens every day in school, in the real world. We have this elective course to allow students to focus on their social emotional goals for the academic school year. Scenarios can range from a discussion on what jobs they're interested, focusing on mindfulness and self-awareness, and discussing how to handle peer pressure. So in some of the pictures, we were able to take the kids to URI. They went rock climbing. We go ice skating. We take Ashaway Cala and are able to show them this is how we can interact with different peers. This is how we can interact in the community. So being a part of Cala, it's, as Kyle had said, it opens doors to show you what learning can be in a different way. And a lot of what we do is project-based learning. So that's PBL. And we've grown so much with this that a lot of the kids now can give us ideas of what they want to learn, what they want to try, and what they want to do. So the teachers use the PBL to engage students in the learning process to learn what else can be out there. So some of the highlights we have are, we have a 350-gallon aquaponics system where students measure, treat, grow plants, vegetables, and fish. We have created outdoor classrooms. We use standards that the kids base things off of, hands-on, cross-curriculum, and cross-community. Next slide. So with the PBL, there's a lot of things that go into it for supplies. So just at a glance, we have vans. We have three vans now that we use. We have 3D printers, GoPros, aerial drones, aquaponics that I mentioned, kitchen equipment, power tools, lumber, and an Uni pizza oven, which is a huge hit. So the supplies and equipment that are seen here in the pictures and on the list wouldn't be obtainable without someone like Katie Kirkosian, who writes all these amazing grants and has such dedication to Cala and to the whole community that we appreciate her for.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I'm here, as you guessed it, to talk about money. I know that there's an element in the grant section where questions can be asked by the school committee, but I wanted to talk about the Academy's school year 26 budget. And like everyone else, I want to thank my colleagues who went before me, those who might be watching online in their PJs, lucky, and those who I was going to say were on the stage, but now they're sitting in front of me in the first row. I am a small part of a really strong team, and I couldn't do this without you. And it's also an honor to work beside these amazing students. I'm in Mr. Tatro's office, right, twice a week, and I engage with many of them and have seen them grow, literally and figuratively. So unlike other schools, Cala has a comprehensive school improvement team, or a CSIT, where many other schools, or all other schools in the district, have a school improvement team. I work with them each year to prepare a comprehensive support and improvement plan and budget. Each year they receive a per pupil allocation. For next year, that allocation is $129,949.41. These funds are to be used to benefit Cala students on the main campus and at Cala Ashaway, as you saw in the images. As was in your packet, our funding request aligns with the district's strategic plan, focusing on what you see in the last bullet points: graduation, ELA math and science achievement, and social emotional learning opportunities. I am here again at the grant portion to address any questions you might have on this budget, but before I do, next slide. Shameless plug. I wanted to end by sharing this April front page Westerly Sun story if you'd like to learn more about the Academy. The story is accessible online and a testament to the important work being done here. Thank you for your time and consideration.
I just want to quickly add one thing about Kyle. Kyle's enrolled in a class at CCRI to start his teacher assistant training the first week of June.
Everyone knows how shy I am, but I'm going to add something about Kyle as well. When we drop him off at little Cala, the kids are in the window and they wave to him. And then when he leaves, they hug him. So making tremendous impact with those kids. My students do that with me, but maybe I'll be there someday.
That was one of the, I think we went to Nineveh Park. No, it was probably one of the students. Gina didn't come with us that day. What student that was?
I don't even know where we are on
I'm
the
just gonna make a
agenda.
motion now.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No.
We got 13 minutes. We're not gonna finish all this.
Thank you.
Do it.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
seeing that we're just starting with C on business.
Yes.
We have 13 minutes till 10 o'clock. I make a motion that we waive the 10 o'clock policy.
Okay, do I have a second?
Wow.
We don't have a second. So if we don't have a second,
Pat seconded it.
okay,
She's a trooper.
are we going to discuss this?
Can I rephrase it? I reluctantly make the motion.
Okay.
Listen, I could be fast. It all depends on the question.
12 minutes isn't gonna work.
All right. So all those in favor of waiving the 10 o'clock policy?
Begrudgingly.
Okay. Okay, motion carries. Anybody opposed? That would be Diane and Polly. Okay. And Larry. Okay, well, he's not, oh, there he is. Okay, we're moving on. Gina, business curriculum for approval?
So you received it at the beginning of last week, and if there's any questions, Dr. Camella is here to just, Dr. Camella is discussing school counseling, and Susie Scannapieco is here if you have any questions around business curriculum.
Susie.
Do business first?
Okay.
Yes,
Susie.
business first. I am recommending approval of both of the.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion or any questions for those here?
For both of them?
No, business is first. Should be nice.
Jess?
My comment was just about the, financial accounting, how it's coming out. That first page you have, it's not crossed out yet.
The curriculum, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like
Well-
on the first page.
Oh, I'm saying in the,
There's like a bulleted list and financial accounting is still there.
we can make that change.
You? Any other discussion? Okay.
Great curriculum. It looked like, I mean, you guys aligned it so that you actually have a real pathway. I didn't know.
Mr. Off likes the word program.
Oh, I'm sorry. You really have a program, so it's very, yeah.
Thank you for your work on the curriculum. So all those in favor of the business curriculum for approval? That is unanimous. Thank you. School counseling curriculum for approval? Gina?
I do make the recommendation that you approve the school counseling curriculum for approval.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Do we have any discussion from the committee? Diane, did you have a question?
Looking at.
Speak right into your microphone, Diane, because I don't think people can hear you.
Oh, there it is.
Thank
Look
you.
at that. You'll share with me. Okay, good. Yeah, I have some concerns. I have some concerns with the area where, these children are expected to learn, self-control and positive, respective, supportive relationships, create positive relationships, sense of acceptance, respect, support, inclusion for self and others in the school environment. I have to tell you, those are pretty tough things to develop, and those I actually believe need to be developed at home before they're developed at school. And that is my feeling on that. I don't think it's the school's job to develop those skills for our children. I think it's a parent's job to build those skills. I think that all kids are equal. All kids should be treated equally. I have no doubt about that. But again, teaching children, to teaching children to control their emotions and, you know, learn how to be accepting and it's just like religion. Everybody has their own opinion. And I don't think that that type of school, that type of education belongs in the school department.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Karen had her hand raised, and then Linda.
I don't think anybody is discounting teaching children at home. I think teachers and administrators and counselors actually encourage that. I think we're just furthering it. Throughout the document, I read numerous times where, you know, it was counselor to educator, counselor to parent, counselor to student. So I saw the triad, a very important triad, numerous times throughout. I don't think anyone is discounting parental involvement. And I think the goal is to not teach the kids, I take that back. It is to teach the kids to handle their emotions in an appropriate manner that is beneficial to the student and to the classroom and to the community. Nobody is discounting parents.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Linda.
Would like to support what Karen just said, and also to, like, being a teacher and knowing what it's like, you basically build a learning environment, and part of that learning environment is to have kids learn to be cooperative, good, if you want to call it a good friend, all of the kinds of things that you want a student to be at, you know, it's developmentally too. So at certain ages, you're going to have developmental expectations, but at some point, you want that student to be an adult with those ability to be a teammate, to be a collaborative partner in a project, or all of that. And that's just starting at, you know, pre-KK and working up through the grades, and at the, you know, so everything's appropriately, developmentally appropriate at every level. And I disagree with Diane. I think it's an important part of what we do as educators.
Okay, thank you. Laura? And I'm sorry, was Jess first? Yeah. Jess and Laura.
Kids are learning all the time. We can't pick and choose where they're going to learn. As a school district, our job is to provide a framework. This curriculum is a framework that not just addresses emotional concerns, but it's about academic development, career development, and social emotional development, which is something I've seen both of my children get. You know, now that I have a son in the middle school, he's getting the counseling that's more formal. In the elementary school, it's not a formal counseling environment for every child, but it's worked in to their morning meeting, which every day they talk with their teacher about what they're going to do that day, the expectations of their behavior, the guidelines. It really is important that they have boundaries and leaders that show them that they're supported in different ways. My comment also about this curriculum is that I noticed on the review team there wasn't an elementary staff member. This is the K through 12 curriculum, but there was the middle school, high school, but there wasn't an elementary staff. And then the other thing that I keep thinking about a lot is student engagement, right? We talk a lot about absenteeism, and I think one of the ways that we can work to curb that is to make sure students have a chance to be engaged, not just in the classroom, but in discussion, like I think the curriculum. So basically what I'm saying is I would love to see students involved in the curriculum review process as well. I know that the district is really good at having a team of educators and staff that come together to do this, but I'd love to see students involved in that process. I think it's another chance for engagement, and they'd have a lot of valuable insight. But I don't know, it looked like you were going to speak to the fact that there was not an elementary.
Yeah, I'll speak to the student piece as well.
Okay,
So
great.
what we did was along the way, so we have guidance counselors at our middle and high school, but we don't have guidance counselors at our elementary school. But the folks really who are responsible for the delivery of this are our school psychologists, social workers, and even our principals. And then in a core classroom approach, it's our teachers who do morning meeting, for example, and will embed and use some of the standards that you see here tonight. The second piece about the student voice is important. So we have a district curriculum planning council, and on that council, DCPC for short, we actually have student representation. And then before the curriculum comes to school committee, we also send it out to all of the school improvement teams. And so the school improvement teams also have student representation as well. So there is an opportunity for a small group of students throughout the district to review the curriculum, provide feedback before it comes to school committee.
And actually, our secondary, both middle and high school, they will provide Google Forms for the students to be able to share what advisory topics were of the most interest, why, what do they think is missing. So we get the feedback. And actually, we had one of our highlights coming forward with the Charahoe Civic Community Engagement Summit in my report was that the students really enjoy learning more about the sort of local community, state level politics, and they really enjoy the election piece. So I don't think that we would have guessed that had we not seen their exit tickets, but I do, we always are looking to improve and get areas not only that they need, but then that there's an interest in. And as you saw with Calla discuss, it really is that personalized approach. And the state does require what they call an individual learning plan beginning in grade 6. So you have to be able to have a, what's it called? I'm trying to think of the word now. The personal goal, not just you have an SEL goal, but in the end, it allows the students to think about, not just my profession, but what do I want to improve upon as a human. And even the student education panel from the superintendent, that my kiddos, and I have a few of them here, they work on the kindness campaign. So a lot of that comes from what they believe they want to see their community and their schools feel like and welcome. And it really is about maximizing that student belonging so that people and adults and the students are building relationships for that safety and that security to be able to just, again, it's called maximizing student belonging. And it's in all of our strategic plan and our school improvement plans.
Thank you, Gina. Laura?
Dr. Camella, what was the...
Laura, speak right into your microphone.
When was this sent to the SIT teams? Do you remember?
I want to say, I want to say probably mid-March, late March.
And then my other question is do you have like a summary of the changes that were made on this? Because there's the way it was presented, we have current curriculum, and then we have final curriculum for review.
There is the presentation. So on the what Angela had sent out last week, if you click on, there's a presentation there that really discusses the changes. The changes were really, the standards haven't changed, so the ASCA standards really haven't changed. What we did and what we continue to do with the curricula as we revise each one is to really reformat it. So my first experience here in Charahoe was with the health curriculum, and I was looking up standards and realized it was a 196-page document. And it took me, I want to say, almost hours to locate different standards at different grade levels that I needed to find. And so in an effort to ensure that our curriculum documents were accessible to our teachers, and not only our teachers, but to the public, because as I meet with parents and we discuss that, it was cumbersome to kind of literally scroll through 196 pages to find grade level and standards. We're revising and reformatting. So the biggest change, I think, to school counseling is that we've got it now into a K-4, 5-8, and a 9-12 section.
Okay.
The standards are easily found. There weren't, I wouldn't say, significant changes to this. RIDE is actually still in the process of reformatting its site as well, but the standards have largely stayed the same.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Diane?
I just have just one more comment on the school counseling curriculum, the social emotional learning. I've been made aware that, social and emotional learning allows these children to express themselves and to, share how they're feeling and even with their peers or their counselors. But it also, and I know this to be true from experience, I know a child that has been out of school for 16 days in the middle school just because she says, oh, I'm having a struggle day. And boom, she doesn't go to school. 16 days, and we talk about getting these kids in the schools. When the counselor was addressed by this, oh, well, you know, her grades are okay. Oh, is that the solution to 16 days out of school? I think not. So maybe the social emotional learning needs to be tweaked or looked at, because there's clear evidence it doesn't always work. Thank you.
Laura?
I'll say that at the health and wellness meeting that we had last time, that was something that was discussed about the absenteeism. And one of the students that was on the, that's on that subcommittee, you know, she did allude to that oftentimes, you know, she had said that she had friends and stuff, and a lot of times they'll, you know, like, oh, I'm just going to take a mental health day. And that's very common. And I can understand why for girls specifically, that could be something that, you know, would happen more frequently than for boys, I would assume. So I do understand what you're referring to, because I know that in the middle school, that was something that, you know, that happened as well, that kids talked about. So just to point it out.
Okay, so we've had discussion on this. We have a motion and a second for the school counseling curriculum to be approved. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Diane? Okay, motion carries. Next is the pre-deprivation hearing, non-renewal of teacher contract, and I am going to turn this over to the superintendent and to, is our attorney, Mr. Anderson? Okay, I'm sorry, I can't see you from that corner, John.
Chair, would you mind terribly if I exited the meeting? Get that kid home. He's got school in the morning.
You have to do what you have to do.
I planned until 10. I'm sorry, everybody. I apologize.
Yep.
He's had a baseball game, and I'm going to take him home, get him ready for school tomorrow.
Thank you. All right, John and Gina?
I'll let Jen go first.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. John Anderson. This is a non-renewal of a teacher's contract. In the 30 years I've been doing this, these have always been handled in Charahoe in executive session, but a teacher has a right to have it in public session. And the teacher who is the subject of this agenda item has exercised that right as she may. The procedure is very simple. The superintendent needs to explain to the school committee why she is making the recommendation to non-renew, or in this case, reduce the hours of the teacher. The teacher then is entitled to make a short statement explaining why she disagrees with the superintendent. And then the school committee can entertain a motion either to support the superintendent's recommendation or not support the superintendent's recommendation.
Okay.
So Ms. Latham is a world language teacher who teaches French, and based on current enrollment and cost requests from students, it would go from a 5-day-a-week position to a 3-day-a-week position.
So now we have an explanation by the teacher statement.
Yep.
Is
Ms.
Ms.
Latham
here?
here?
Okay, thank you.
Floor is yours.
Bonsoir. I am Claire Latham, also known as Madame L to my students, and been teaching French passionnément in the Charahoe School District since 2014 at Charahoe High School and at Charahoe Middle School. And I'm speaking to you this evening in reaction to the plan of eliminating, not so much my hours, it's more about the plan to eliminate the Charahoe French program after the 2025-26 school year. Cutting the French program would be a grave mistake, in my opinion, and I'll just give a couple of reasons why I believe so. Colleagues and acquaintances like me are baffled at the timing of this plan to cut not only French but also Mandarin right when the Rhode Island Department of Education is making language learning more of a priority than in the past. The new Rhode Island requirement of 2 years of world language study should signal a need to bolster the Charahoe World Language Department rather than to shrink it. Enrollment in French classes has decreased, to be sure, these past couple of years, but I am not alone in my assessment that this is not due to a decrease in interest in French, but more due to a decrease in the opportunities to study and explore French language and culture at Charahoe. The French program at the Charahoe Middle School, which has been cut, it was essential for fueling enrollment in French at Charahoe High School. And the popular high school student Quebec City trip was also instrumental in raising Charahoe students' awareness of heritage speakers of French in Rhode Island due to the French-Canadian immigration. If either the middle school French program or the Quebec trip could be revived, one or the other, this could restore enrollment numbers, or alternatively, if some of these small French classes that have been allowed continued to be allowed to accommodate one situation in particular where students, I've had students of mine tell me that they can't continue with the next level of French the following year because of scheduling difficulties. And if small French classes could be allowed, then it would allow those students to return to French. For example, in their senior years, it's extremely difficult for some of them to fit in the French that they really do want to pursue when only one section of the level they need, when there is only one, and that's much less of an issue for the Spanish courses. I feel that if Charahoe recommits to offering a full French program, not only will enrollment in French begin to rise again, but Charahoe students' average SAT scores will improve as well, given the documented English vocabulary gains from learning French. Last but not least, the vibrancy of the World Language Department at Charahoe derives partly from offering a variety of languages at all levels. Charahoe currently offers 3 or more levels of Spanish, Italian, French, and Mandarin. Stakeholders would do well to support the continued diversity and depth of language courses. Charahoe High is a high-performing school ranked in the top 10 public high schools in Rhode Island and needs a rich, diverse world language program, including French, to continue to do so. Vive le français, merci.
Yeah.
At this point, it's up to the school committee to entertain a motion.
So we did have some students who wanted to speak during public comment about this topic. So am I now allowed to allow them to offer their comments?
As I have said in the past, you are the chair.
Thank you. Young lady, would you like to come forward? Lucy, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Lucy.
Hi again, I'm Lucy. I graduated last year, 2024. In middle school, when I found out that there were other languages other than Spanish to take as a class, I was ecstatic. I chose French in a heartbeat. This is where I met Madame L, who made it clear every class that we were there to learn everything we could about French. Not only did we learn the language, but the history as well as the culture, which I think is extremely important in an education setting. Foreign language classes are one of the only times in the curriculum where we are truly able to learn about a different culture. Cutting French from the curriculum would take away such an amazing opportunity from so many. Not only was this course crucial in my education, having Madame L as a teacher greatly impacted my drive to learn about cultures around the world. In high school, I was so enthralled with learning more that I assisted Madame L in creating a French baking club called Jus le Désert alongside my peers. In this club, we invited anyone within the high school, whether they were enrolled in French or not enrolled in French, to come and learn about the French culture,
through making a fun activity of making desserts, and who doesn't love making desserts? Through Madame's teaching, her care, passion, and drive to educate the younger generations shines through. She is kind, extremely intelligent, and is always helpful. Even when I just walked into her classroom, I was so excited to learn. Out of my 14 years with the Charahoe School District, I took French for 4 of them, and I am incredibly grateful for those 4 years and the impact that it has had on me. Not only did I take French, but my younger brother, Albert May, did too. Much like my experience, he loved being part of a class where he was able to deepen his knowledge on the French culture and language. My youngest brother, Bruce May, was so excited entering the high school, only to find out that there are some people who do not want to continue to support having this language within the schools. I understand that the budget is difficult to navigate, but growing minds need to be able to have options and opportunities. High school is the time to explore all parts of the world. Students need to be able to choose from a variety of courses. Our future needs to be built on a foundation where students were able to choose and have different opportunities. Please consider allowing students to have a choice in aspects of their education that can help them learn about cultures, languages, and themselves. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Was there another student that wanted to speak on this? Please come forward. Virginia, thank you.
Hi, I'm Virginia Keister. I'm a Hopkinton resident, and I graduated from Charahoe in 2023. And I'm here in support of the French program tonight, as I didn't take French, but I took Chinese for 5 years. And I can say so many different things about how this program really elevated me when applying to college. But besides that, I really want to say how important the language program means to our community. I can't speak directly on behalf of the French program, but I have a little brother, Kelly Drake, who's entering high school next year, who basically spent the last 6 years wanting to follow behind me and take Chinese. And after fully enrolling and preparing, he can't take the class anymore, as I know many other students are also experiencing. The cultural immersion through these language courses, such as the Salem trip and the Dragon Parade, were some of my favorite memories of high school. And it's upsetting to see how my brother and many other students won't be able to experience the same thing. Chinese and French can allow our students to have an edge in the business world and global economy, but it's the unexpected value of language that really makes it all worthwhile to us. I can't say I remember every single thing I learned in my 5 years in Chinese. That would not be true. But my ability to connect with others through this language, even conversationally, in my time at school, I go to the University of Pittsburgh, especially as a TA for one of my classes, has made me a better friend and a better educator beyond this district. And I never expected to support my students and peers in this capacity ever. So it was a fun little discovery that I never expected. But all in all, I know that Miss Lusher is extremely devoted to her program, and I know Madame L is the same. I never took French, but having worked with her as a director in the Scottish play here in this auditorium, I know she leads her classroom with the same heart, dedication, and skill. Losing both of these educators and languages would be an immense detriment, and I understand that we have to make hard budget decisions, but what is left when we cut programs specifically designed to create leaders in our competitive world? I've met and worked with so many of these kids from elementary, middle, and high school, and they are incredible individuals that will make such a difference in this world if we give them the opportunity. And this begins in our language programs here that are greatly effective in the middle school when they're placed and in the high school. I sincerely urge you to consider why we have these programs in the first place and how the preservation of Chinese and French tonight is an investment in our future as a district and community, as they are the heart of fostering intellectual, creative, and cultural growth within our students. Thanks.
Thank you. So the agenda item is about the non-renewal of Claire Letham's contract. And I know that you, Penelope. Okay, I'm sorry, Penelope. I jumped in without recognizing you.
Don't worry. Hi, I'm Penelope. I'm graduating in 2 weeks, and
Congratulations.
Yay.
And just like Lucy and Virginia, I don't really have anything to gain from this except for the fact that language is so much more than just like a classroom and a class. And so I'd just like to say that Madam Latham has been one of the most influential teachers I've ever had. Her teaching style mirrors the experiences one would have if they were learning a language in the wild. It's rigorous, creative, and so incredibly well-rounded. She teaches with an intensity and an excitement that is so contagious, and she teaches with the knowledge that learning a language enhances our potential to exceed at other subjects. The solution to decreased enrollment is not to cut the language from the curriculum. The solution is to paint learning a language as a part of being a citizen of the world. Children in other countries are just expected to be bilingual, not because they have the opportunity at home, but because it is embedded in their education and their lifestyle. Bilingualism is not a chore, not another math class. It's part of being a human in this generation where communication is more important than ever. When I moved to this district, the thing that struck me the most about Charahoe is that we never view an issue as unsolvable. I've witnessed the most outside-of-the-box thinking in this district, and I have full faith that the issue of decreased enrollment can be approached in a similar way. I'm very aware that this issue is not isolated to this district, and it breaks my heart that children overall don't view learning a language as a gift. But the reason I'm so proud of this district is because we set ourselves apart from others, constantly, adamantly, and proudly. So why would we accept this issue as unsolvable when all of us, regardless of our priorities, know that this school district is special? Madame made my Charahoe experience what it was, and the French class, though they be but little, they are fierce. We went on to take AP French, study it in college, and we all earned our seals of biliteracy and plan to travel to France or Canada in the future, or already have done so. In French, I have seen the most dedicated students learning a language at this school. I have met the people with the most passion, and it would be so sad to see them go. And I would just like to add that while I never took Chinese, when I was considering attending Charahoe instead of Westerly, I was really impressed that Charahoe offered Chinese. I saw this school as a place that encouraged taking risk and pursuing endeavors that weren't really be considered common. I can safely say it's one of the reasons that I moved here. I really hope that in the next year these points will be considered. For a high-ranking school like ours to offer just 2 languages would be so disappointing and would only further send the message that learning a language is not prioritized in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda.
I just want to say I'm very proud of you girls coming forward. You were articulate. You proposed, and Madame, you should be. Well, I mean, your kids love you, and that says a lot. I also want to say that during budget discussion, I made the comment that I thought that one of the comments from one of my colleagues on the committee was short-sighted, and because I was concerned that being that all languages, I think I agree, bilingual should be, it's too bad that we had to cut it at the elementary and the middle school level. But I think we need to kind of look at our language program, because if it's going to become a graduation requirement, losing these teachers, it is a graduation requirement, and losing these teachers is just short-sighted. And I just don't know why members of this committee could not see that. So,
But we didn't remove anything from the budget.
well, there was a comment made by one of our school committee members that the classes were small.
Well, I mean, that was an observation that the classes were small, but in the end, this committee did not move forward to cut the budget for world language. We kept that money in.
I just think it sets a precedent, that's all.
Okay.
But that's essentially what we're being asked to do.
Was your hand raised first?
No.
Yeah, I was just going to respond because I was the one who made the comment about the world language, and it was only because of the fact that I have a child who goes to Charahoe, and I was aware of the small classroom sizes, and we did not end up cutting anything from the budget for the world language program. So I'm a little bit confused right now because it sounds like the recommendation is coming from the superintendent to cut the program. Am I understanding this right? I'm so
No,
confused.
that's not correct.
To reduce the FTE, right?
Right, so based on enrollment, which was highlighted, and I have shared with the committee that it is my advice that we do not call out specific positions during budget season, because that is not the school committee's role. Budget dollars and allocation of the budget. So I don't highlight and because I have to meet with the principals, we have to do course reviews and course allocations. So when it's highlighted at a public meeting, and there's only one teacher assigned to French and one teacher assigned to Mandarin, it puts it in a precarious situation, which is what I try to avoid, as well as advise the committee to avoid. I actually shared with Member Chapman on the phone before the meeting, because she had a question about another member who was bringing up a different position, and I shared that is never a good thing to do, and unfortunately, sometimes my advice is not heeded. When you have one teacher, the writing gets on the wall very quickly as they see school committee members make judgment calls on the stage. So the program is not being cut. Ms. Latham is correct. Based on enrollment, our class sizes recommend a 0.6, not a 1.0. That is not something I need school committee approval to do, but I did hear that we have a responsibility, as my principals do, and they pay attention, and enrollment. And when we hear that 5 students in a classroom is not something that this committee is going to pursue, then we have to take appropriate measures. And so if that statement wasn't something that you wanted, I've heard Mr. Champlin make statements about enrollment. I have a responsibility, and yes, Ms. Latham is correct. They're very small classes. We, out of 200 rising 8th graders, and we did have the French program in middle school, we have tried really hard. And I'm always open to suggestions. We've also pushed Mandarin into the middle school to try to increase the engagement of students. Unfortunately, out of 200 8th graders, we only had 20 that were interested in French. And the majority are interested in French, are interested in Italian and Spanish. So currently, the class sizes, they'd be at 5, 7, they're smaller. But again, we're still giving everybody that has French, but Ms. Latham's not wrong. I do fear that this committee is looking to reduce enrollment and in lots of ways, and French is just one example. But in the past, the school committee has given me the direction that it was the opportunities that we were looking for. But dating back, if you go back to 2 budgets ago, Member Johnson in the past, he actually asked me to give the school committee the numbers of enrollment, and I was asked to ensure that any enrollment under 15 was no longer reviewed. So when members of the school committee make determinations, they impact our programs, and I have a responsibility to listen and provide guidance to my team. So if this committee does not want to cut French and Chinese, and they're okay with enrollment in classroom sizes of 5, but you also have elementary teachers here, and then you want to put 25 in their classroom. So I do think the committee needs to think about what they're looking for classroom enrollment, because when we make statements in public, they have consequences.
So I'm just going to say that I very much appreciate your comments on this, but at the end of the day, we invested in the world language program, and asking a question, I think some of us are just trying to make informed decisions on that.
You passed a budget, and in the budget, Ms. Drake and I were monitoring enrollment.
Okay.
We're well aware of the course requests when we're making budget decisions, but I don't tend to highlight those in public so that one individual is not called out.
Right.
Okay.
And, I'm a new committee member, so I apologize for highlighting that in public. That was never my intention. Like I said, I have a child who goes to school in the district, and I was pointing out that that was the case within her
Yeah,
class.
this is a point of order.
So-
Yeah, back on track.
Just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I have sure, Linda, go ahead.
I just want to ask a question as far as planning forward. This year, the classes are small.
The classes there have been, especially as they move on.
Okay.
We see less, for example.
But given that the language is going to become a graduation requirement, you don't foresee that because what I'm worried about is that we let teachers go and we'll never get them back. And so that's what because everyone's going to be looking for world language teachers. So is there any way that maybe this year, or the trend's going to get, we can't guarantee that.
When I'm sure when Ms. Latham heard French mentioned, and she's the only teacher, this is when people look for other opportunities. And then over the summer, if she decides to take, she's right, she can go to any district and they'd snatch her up. In the end, on enrollment, Ms. Drake and I were looking at the enrollment. We have been reviewing the 2028 graduation, which is our current class, and based on our current world language program, we can offer every kid language. However, there is less of an interest right now in Mandarin and French.
Jess and Karen and Craig, did you have your hand up as well? Okay.
So I think it's probably time for a motion. I know that there were discussions about world language in the budget process, but we approved a budget and we didn't cut any world language teachers. This was put on the agenda for us to discuss and possibly approve a non-renewal. Is that a double negative?
Right. Budgetary decisions happen in March. Enrollment decisions happen by June 1st.
Okay. So I know that class sizes are a concern if you're trying to save money, but we also know that small group learning is really effective and it's really important, not just for students at CALA. I'm not in favor of cutting this at the moment. Like Linda said, we don't want to lose qualified teachers in this area. So I would make a motion that
I just want to be clear. There have implications. Every time this happens, come budget season, once you do that, you've now put more students. So let's say we have 20. And by the way, that's 20 who may be interested. So typically we see it shift. So you have like 10 to 12. Then it doesn't fit in their schedule. And then if it doesn't fit in their schedule, then classes become even smaller because they didn't realize or something happened. And then budget season comes around. Remember, budget season is not a time to discuss the individualized programs. It's a larger allocation. But once we do it, that means you're phasing out. If you're not going to phase out, which is, I believe, what was the impact of smaller class sizes, you're lessening the opportunity. So there's lots of messages happening at the school committee, which I'm responsible to adhere to. And I get it. When the public comes out, you all want to make a decision. But in the end, it's can be wishy-washy. And I don't think that's the intent, but that's what's happening. And when, like I said, I give advice that I would give myself, which is why when I talk to members and I say, I don't advise that we call out, especially teachers that have one job, deans, or French. It's only one person. So now if that teacher decides to leave, I have no French program. And every student who's requested French is getting French. So if you keep it 1.0, then Ms. Drake is going to find, because there's no French classes to give Mrs. Latham. So just be clear. We're giving the students French for 0.6. If it stays as a 1.0, it's non-French classes.
Will there be French at the middle school
There is no French at the middle school.
currently?
Correct. There's only 9 students that were interested. We moved it to try to enhance more and we moved Mandarin to middle school to see if we could get more students interested in middle school. This has been ongoing for the last 5 years.
Karen and Craig.
Gina, can you just clarify it's the 2028 class that has to take 2 full years of a language?
Correct. Or some of them get the waiver from CTC.
Okay, thank you. So that's the current freshman class?
Yes.
Can you answer how many freshmen are taking French right now?
We have 20 who we're thinking are interested. That doesn't mean that they're going to take it. We won't have the official numbers until we do the schedules. When they finalize their schedules to make sure that they get their opportunities. But the law says budget is by March 1st, and enrollment is by June 1st.
Correct.
Hold on, Pat. Craig was first. Craig?
So Gina, how many students prior to the class of 28, percentage-wise of each grade, was taking a language?
Of each
Grade.
well, I would have to do that.
Ballpark. Is it going to double?
No.
I mean, it's a requirement every student.
Right, we have a world, the difference is, we have enough staff, and they're right, we're the only high school in the state that has more than 1 to 2 languages. And then we're actually still one of the only middle schools that have world language.
So somewhere down the line, do you envision expanding Spanish? Because more kids need to take Spanish?
So, not that they need to, that we do see that the highest level of requests are Spanish, and then it's Italian. So, and we've been monitoring this for the last 5 years. So this is not, because we knew they were coming up. This has been in the works with the state. And like I explained to you, we had shifted some of the middle school to see if we could get more interest. But even in the elementary school, when the world language for Spanish went away, we lost some individuals there.
Deja vu, I'm the one that made the motion to cut those 2 people.
Right, now what we're seeing.
And that was a budgetary decision at that time. And just like it was several months ago, a budgetary decision. I just want to make sure we're not cutting off our nose to spite our face for like 3-4 years down the road, and we can't replace some of these people because they're
And the
gone.
thing is, I can't anchor these people to the chair either. When
And
they
I
hear that their
understand
position is tenuous, or there's a possibility, they look for other opportunities.
And I can't blame them for that.
Of course not.
Okay. Pat?
Kind of the same lines of what Craig was saying, if a language is going to be required for everyone, are we going to max out, like, for instance, like in college, when there are only so many seats in a class, and if you can't get into that class, you have to opt for another one? So that's what my question. If you're going to max out in Spanish or Italian, they're going to have a language, another option.
So
That's all.
we have enough space in all of our world languages to provide all of our students with the world language, even with the reduction to 0.6.
Okay, are we ready for a motion for non-renewal of teacher contract? Is someone going to make that motion? That's what the agenda item says, non-renewal of
It's the
teacher, or
way
to
the state
reduce
does
it
it,
to
but it's a
0.6.
1.0 to 0.6.
A 1.0 to a 0.6.
That's how the state in law is worded, yeah.
Are we making a motion to approve or not approve?
The motion would be for the non-renewal of a teacher contract. The position would go from a 1.0 to a 0.6. So basically, full-time to part-time, right? Or half-time. Okay, so nobody is making the motion, so that means we are moving on to the next agenda item?
You have to make a decision.
I mean,
The law
Go ahead, Laura.
requires the school committee, this is one of the laws that require you to make the decision.
Go ahead, Laura, yes.
So if we've already established that this has been allocated to the budget, then I don't I guess I'm
That's,
saying.
but Laura, that's not what you said, that's incorrect.
When a teacher's non-renewed, that's our responsibility.
This is not budgetary. You're talking about the budget. This is enrollment.
But I think her point is that this position is budgeted for a full.
That's incorrect. That's not the question you asked me.
Okay.
This position was not budgeted the way you just said it. That was your assumption.
Okay.
Foreign language teacher in the 2026 budget
For French.
for French, is what you're telling me?
It's in the world language, correct?
Okay, so how many world language teachers were in the 2026 budget?
So again, this is about enrollment. You're getting confused between budget and enrollment. The budget, you decide at the allocation. You don't determine where. The course enrollment happens with the high school principal and the counselors. This is about enrollment, not budget. You approve a number, not the courses.
Okay, with that being said, is there a motion for non-renewal of teacher contract?
I make a motion for non-renewal of teacher contract.
Is there a second? Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. So all in favor of non-renewal of teacher contract? Oh, there more discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, I did not see your hand raised. No, if you're going to speak, you have to come to the podium, please, and say your name. Thank you.
Sorry, Nina Rooks Cast. I'm a Hopkinton or Hope Valley resident, and my confusion is that I understand that the teaching assignments have already been determined for next year, and it's going from 1.0 to 0.6. I thought what was on the agenda was the fact that it was going to be eliminated, that the program, French and Chinese, were slated to be eliminated after this year. So that was the concern of the students and mine. That
I can't determine what could happen, but there's always the potential for programs to be cut during budget season, yes. But typically that happens based with the high school principal. That's part of her responsibility.
How you doing today? My name's William Cotton. My daughter takes French class. Her name's Sophia. She loves the class. She loves French, and she loves cooking the French food. My concern is many of the colleges require 3 years of foreign language of the same foreign language. How are the students supposed to complete this? If you offer French to students, it should be responsibility to provide all the appropriate classes. And how are you going to help the students get 3 years in the college? She's already taken one of the years. So she doesn't want to learn Spanish, doesn't want to learn any of the other ones. Matter of fact, she's looking to go to college in France.
Which is great. French is still here, so they will take year 2 next year. And then...
How about the third?
That's a great question. If the program is cut, it would be VHS. So we have virtual high school for other languages that we don't offer.
But the ones on virtual only offer 4, doesn't offer 3.
No, they offer 3.
Well, she checked it out, and she said there was only 4 on there. So, but that's my concern.
Understood.
I believe the school should reconsider, or at the minimum, they should let the students currently in French 1 and 2 complete French 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Your name?
I am Jester Kona. I am a freshman from Richmond, and I just have to ask, what is the maximum amount of kids for a foreign language class?
30.
Okay.
25 or 30. I have to double check.
Okay.
It's been a little late, I think.
An issue that a friend of mine, Calypso Wyzorg, ran into was she applied for Chinese, but they denied her because the class was full. Not a scheduling issue, specifically because of the class, just for it to only turn out to have 11-ish kids.
Yeah, no Chinese class is full. That I know.
That's what they told her.
Who's they?
Whoever was dealing with her scheduling. So most likely.
Mrs. Drake's in the back. She's going to look into it.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
was just curious about that.
Thank you. None of the classes are full.
Jess, did you have a comment?
Yes. So it seems like there's 2 different perceptions happening, right?
Just for the position 1.0 to 0.6.
Right. So, but there's a perception that by reducing this contract, it will eliminate the French program.
Right now, there are enough classes to run a 0.6.
Just at the high school though.
But that's all we have. That's all.
It wasn't at the middle school last year, this year either. It's not in the middle school this year either. Okay.
So
it's just reducing
Ms. Drake and I, Ms. Drake would have to provide, again, then we have 0.6 classes we need to run to cover French. 1.0.
The entirety of the French program.
Correct.
Okay.
A 1.0, we need to have enrollment in classes. So Ms. Latham wouldn't be teaching French because we don't have the enrollment for it. But that's what she's paid to teach. So I can't just provide her with a different subject to teach if she's a 1.0.
Karen, and then I have a question too.
Is the plan to run a French 1 next year?
Ms. Drake, no.
And Gina, can you just clarify for me, did you say that there were 20 potential students that were interested in French? You
So
said
based
20.
on course interest,
Okay.
there are 20 who may be interested.
So maybe interested in, would that be French 1?
For 8th grade.
For 8th grade?
Right.
Okay. Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor and we have a second. So all in favor of the non-renewal of the teacher contracts to go from a 1.0 to a 0.6? Okay. All in favor of the non-renewal of the teacher contract, which means it goes from a 1.0 to a 0.6. So Pat and Diane are in favor. All of those opposed? Looks like the rest of us. Okay. So,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I have a pretty strong suggestion that these 4 women do a video and sell what you love about the French
Great
program,
idea.
because I think you could fill a classroom with that enthusiasm. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Grants for approval. We have 3 on the agenda tonight. And Gina, are we turning this over to Katie, or do you want to give us some context on these before we turn it over to Katie?
The grant, you had the CSIP grant, Katie already presented during the CALA presentation.
Thank you, Katie.
That's the RIDE grant. The RIDE Health and Education Building Corporation is the Richmond Playground that Katie and I had worked on through RISA. And then the 21st Century Technology and Equipment Fund is $300,000 to upgrade high school science labs.
Okay. Do we have a motion for these grants for approval?
I make a motion to approve these 3 grants.
Okay, do we have a second? Who said yes? Second was Craig? Okay, any discussion on these? Larry?
Question. I talked to the Hopkinton Town Council, and they all agree that the playground equipment there at the Hope Valley School could be moved to Richmond if you, sir, want to take it. Put it there.
We are taking it.
You are
And
taking it.
We have to have playground reviews required by the trust. So anything that's structurally appropriate, we will move. We've already determined that.
Okay.
And you also have to, once you move it, they're not grandfathered in. So ADAD will have to be looked at with each piece. And you have to have so many pieces that are ADHD compliant, ratio with not.
ADA. Not ADHD.
It's late.
It's 11 o'clock. I know, but he's live on YouTube. Don't rush it.
Well, I have that, but. So it may not be as simple as just getting a price and moving it. which
Right, we
we've
have a
already
responsibility to
done.
make sure that it meets all the standards now.
So it is all being looked into.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. All those, I'm sorry, Karen, did you have something else? Okay, thank you, Katie. All those in favor for these 3 grants to move forward? Donna, are you in favor of the, okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, RFQ Stage 2 Architect, Elementary School Capital Planning for approval. Gina, can you give us some context on this? And would you be willing to also explain how the Richmond Elementary School playground fits into this? You may have talked
It
about that.
doesn't fit into this.
It doesn't fit into this. Okay, I needed clarification on that.
You're thinking about the stage 2 that RIDE has.
Okay.
This is to begin a stage 2 for the elementary plans, which will encompass a review of what renovations would cost, as well as opportunities for new schools. And, our goal is to try to talk with the architects to try to get as many options as possible based on the funding that we have allocated. And in the end, understand the difference between renovating our 100-year-old elementary schools versus new construction.
Are there questions from the committee on this? Karen?
I was looking at the timeline, history geek in me. So if we put this out for June, is the hope?
Now, it goes out now.
It goes out now. And then there's a due date of when the bids are due in June. Is the hope to have a plan in December? So that we can submit it in I don't want to run into
That's great question. I'm so glad you asked it.
I didn't actually
The timeline is always, it's the same timeline every year.
It is,
February
but I felt,
to February.
I think we all felt very rushed with the last one.
It's the same timeline. Because remember, if you don't finish and
You have to
submit
start over.
by February 15th, then you have to pay for a brand new stage one. This is our 5th round. So every time the state says it expires after 1 year. So you get February 15th to February 15th. So what happens is, this is typically happens now.
Yes.
We go into the summer, people go away and forget, come back in September, and that train is on the track because we have to have it ready for legislation, bonds, and approval for stage 2 by February 15th at RIDE. So it is always a very tight timeline.
And the only time we can submit it is at that February 15th date.
Or September 15th.
Or September 15th. I'm just.
Sooner.
Yes, no.
Recommendation, I know we love having all these meetings, but maybe when we get back to school in September, maybe have a meeting just about that.
Well, it will, once we do the RFP, it kicks off the necessity for school construction committee again.
Okay, good. Just because then we can focus.
What we need is the Bureau Veritas report.
Okay, well, we
But-
haven't
but-
done that yet?
Correct, but we should have it right, Ed, by the time we get the architect in-house, we should be able to be moving full steam ahead all summer.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Gina, going out to RFQ does not incur any cost to the district. It's when the architect is selected that's what incurs a cost to the district. Is that correct?
The architect, the owner's project manager, and all of the sort of subcontractors that come along with the bids.
And then who reviews the bids when they come in? Is that?
The necessity for school construction.
Okay, so that's
They
subcommittee.
provide a recommendation to the committee.
And who's on that subcommittee? Karen, Pat, and
Craig.
Great, okay.
And community members.
Yeah.
Community
Oh, I mean, there's a whole, from the school committee,
Like
right?
15
I just,
people.
I
Okay.
can have, I can send it in an FYI.
Okay. All right, so do we have a motion to move forward with the RFQ for the Stage 2 Architect Elementary School Capital Planning?
I'll make a motion.
Karen and Pat seconded it. All those in favor? Unanimous. Great, thank you. All right, Rhode Island Energy Fixture Replacement Agreement for approval. Gina, do you want to give any context on this, or
I'm
Craig?
recommending approval based on the memo, if there's any questions.
Do we have any questions on this?
You recommended approval?
Correct.
Did anybody move it?
I'll
Not
move
yet.
it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. No discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Rhode Island Energy Management Systems Agreement for approval.
I recommend approval of this agreement per the memo.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I have a question. Is this, the material that we received regarding the EMS legacy systems? Yes? All right. I don't understand what a legacy system is. Can we give like a 30-second overview on this?
It's your whole, it's your energy management system. So
Okay.
it's your controls, it's also your computers that are currently operating to keep your heating system running.
Okay.
Are they outdated?
Outdated is an understatement. We are at the point where if the current computers being used in our elementary schools fail, we cannot update them. There are no further updates. They are past their life expectancy. And the amount of energy, time, and money that our tech department has to put into making sure that they actually do not become a cyber issue is alarming. So besides the fact that they're costing us money, they're totally outdated, it does increase our risk to a cyber attack.
Okay, thank you for that input. Jess?
My question is, on the list provided, why does Charlestown Elementary School have such a higher cost than the other schools?
because of the system they have, in place. So, Rhode Island Energy comes in, they go through all the buildings, and then they give you, a price for each building.
Yeah.
So,
So they have like the cans with the rope, is that thing?
It's
you
late.
know, when you look at your transfer, you're spending thousands of dollars a month to fix heating issues. Heat's really not an option in New England. You have to have it, and we're struggling to keep our buildings heated. So this is an opportunity where you can have it paid for through Rhode Island Energy. We've done other initiatives with them with our lights. We've had very good working relationships with their subcontractors. We've been very successful. So I highly recommended the monthly cash flow. It's almost like you're getting it for free.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Laura, go ahead.
Cost savings, the monthly cost savings, did Rhode Island Energy provided that to us? Is that where that number came from?
Yes, they basically do a breakdown and tell you what you're paying for your oil, how many gallons a month you're saving oil, and then your kilowatts and how many kilowatts a month you're saving. They break it down by school. And then we're also not included in this because it's part of the building committee is the main campus is looking to do the same thing, but bond money will actually pay for that. So between estimated savings, district-wide will more than pay for if we're off a little bit with the elementary project.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Thanks, Greg. Increase of student meal price for approval?
Based on Mr. Zenian's review, I am recommending the increase of student meal prices for approval for next school year.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Linda?
What's the change in the price?
So we're going from elementary breakfast from $125 to $150, elementary lunch from $2.50 to $3. Middle school and high school breakfast, $125 to $175. Middle school lunch will go from $2.90 to $3.50, and high school lunch will go from $3 to $3.50.
Okay, thank you.
Craig?
I've been on that subcommittee for approximately 12 years, and lately, the actions have been made, and without the subcommittee's participation, either A, include our participation, or B, let's just eliminate the subcommittee.
You're the only one on it. And I think it's because we went to the state contract. Remember, because you guys used to review.
So let's eliminate the subcommittee then.
Craig, I will apologize. I didn't know there was a subcommittee.
There isn't. You're the only person.
Wow, then where's the other?
I think you're the liaison. I think it's like the special ed, because you're the only name there.
Disregard what I said, just give me a call. Greg, right?
There you go. Okay, all those in favor of increasing the student meal price?
You got no choice.
Oh, we
I
got
was going to say, is there a choice? No.
Did you have another comment, Jess? Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand raised.
Are these like,
Table that.
can we negotiate these down at all? Like 5 cents here and there? I don't know, like I just feel
This
like-
is actually, has been negotiated down. I actually came in much higher than Chartwell's did. So, Chartwell's they said that at these prices, they feel that, the participation in, breakfast and lunch will not go down. The prices I originally gave them were a little bit higher than this. And they said, it would, negatively impact, student, interest and participation.
Okay, and I know that the adult price went up $1, so I was happy to see that this was less than that, because most kids that get lunch, or a lot of kids that get lunch, they get it every day. So I do want to see the participation continue, and I also want to see the applications for free and reduced meals increase. This might do both. This might increase. Well, actually, if our meals cost more, will the benchmark to receive free and reduced meals change because the meals cost more?
No, it's based on the home income.
Oh, okay.
So I can tell you though, if you do not raise prices, you're gonna see an estimated $40,000 deficit in your budget next year for, school lunch. With these price increases, based on numbers from this year, you have the possibility to have a profit of $34,000.
Rather than a deficit of 40?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of increasing the meal prices? It is, okay. No, I don't think it's unanimous. Did you raise your hand, Jess? No, okay. So we have, raise your hands. Okay, anybody opposed? Jess, okay, thank you. FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America Nationals Field Trip to Anaheim, California.
Yep, I recommend approval of the field trip as noted.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Transfer of funds to fees account for approval.
I recommend approval based on the memos provided by Mr. Zenian.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor of the transfer of funds as presented? It is unanimous. Thank you. Budget update and budget transfers for approval.
I recommend approval of the budget transfers as submitted per the memo.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor of the budget updates and budget transfers for approval? Is that unanimous? Unanimous. Okay. Consent agenda items for approval. Gina?
No, that's not me.
Oh, it says Gina. I recommend approval as a group on the consent agenda.
Usually, nobody's pulling?
Oh, okay. Consent agenda. Are there any items to be pulled on the consent agenda? Jess?
Yes, I would like to pull A1.
Okay. So we're pulling A1. So is there, so can we move?
I make a motion to approve the remainder.
Okay, motion to approve the remainder, but
And I'll
before you
second
do,
that.
okay?
But before I do officially second it, I want
Yes.
to acknowledge the donations from Seascape Lawn Care, donated $500 to the Charahoe Tech. Not here anymore.
No.
Students participating in the Skills USA competition in Atlanta, Georgia. At Seascape, we are proud to support students who are committed to enhancing their high school education by gaining valuable, marketable job skills. Technical schools like Charahoe Tech play a vital role in preparing students to both college and career ready, and we are honored to contribute to their success. 2, Gotham Greens, Providence, Rhode Island, provided an exceptional donation of seedlings for the Richmond Elementary School hydroponic units. There are 219 various lettuce seedlings and another 72 basil seedlings. Richmond Elementary School is in the midst of working with Chartwells to survey all elementary students in all 4 schools to have them utilize student voice to choose their favorite salad choice out of 3 options, and each school's favorite will be served during reading week. The lettuce, we hope, will be coming from the hydroponic units located at Richmond School. Each seedling provided is valued at $3 each for a total of $873. And 3, 2 sedum plants from Farmer's Daughter were donated by grade 1 teacher Wendy Poulis, value $40 to the Richmond Elementary School.
Nice.
Thank you, Craig. So we have a motion to accept all of those consent agenda items except A1, and we have a second. All those in favor?
Oh, hold on.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
you have to also pull C.
Yeah, oh, yes, excuse me.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so do we have to have that motion rescinded?
It's faster if he rescinds it.
Okay. So we'll have to,
I rescind my
made-
motion to approve the remainder.
okay? Can the seconded person rescind or take back their second?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm not reading that again.
No
no,
worries.
you're not.
Nobody wants you to read. Okay, so we need a new motion to pull
A and C.
A1 and C.
Make a motion to pull A1 and C.
Okay, motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Motion to approve the remainder. Which is, I made a motion to pull. Now I'm making a motion to approve the remainder.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor?
I'm tired.
I know. Are you raising your hand? Okay, yes.
Just a reminder, you do have to come back in open session and then do that one
Oh, okay.
separate.
Okay.
See.
So,
Try to
yeah.
remember.
So Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve A1 minutes from the regular session of the Charahoe School Committee from 4/8/25.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
This is, so I
Jess.
pulled it because there was a part of the agenda that Angela annotated in the minutes where it said that Chair Dinsmore asked, but it was actually myself that,
We had discussion though.
yeah,
I'll make that change for you.
okay,
Thank you.
yep. So, sorry.
It was noted in the comments. They just don't print.
It's just a correction in the minute.
All right, are we moving on to
We have to vote.
You have to vote on that.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
The amendment.
Oh,
To approve consent agenda A.
thank you. All those in favor? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, are we on to reports? Superintendent's report? District Transition Planning Update, Charahoe Civics Engagement Summit.
Yes. So our joint school improvement team continues to plan the district transition planning as it relates to elementary schools. We are also reallocating supports for the redesign of Charahoe Alternative Learning Academy, as well as the needs across our schools. This was part of the review, and you just put back 1.0 of French, so that will make some changes. We are proud of the collective efforts and commitment demonstrated by our SIT teams and district teams in ensuring a supportive and welcoming environment for all Charahoe families. Parents and community members are encouraged to participate at SIT meetings and PTO discussions to provide input and ask questions. Also, we're happy to prepare for our Charahoe Community Civics Engagement Summit, which is a new student opportunity. This summit offers hands-on opportunity to explore the inner workings of local and state government, speak with local and state officials, and participate in a dynamic field trip to the Rhode Island State House. Whether they've chosen to run for governor, senator, representative, or a local office, their voice matters, and they're learning how to lead. Throughout the summit, they will enhance their leadership and communication skills, learn how to advocate for positive change in their community, engage with peers and professionals who care deeply about civic life, and participate in discussions that mirror real-world democracy.
Thank you, Gina. Next item, school committee requests for future agenda items or legal opinions.
Should we hold off till we come back out of executive session for that?
And you still have to also, you will have to do C as
Correct.
well. Yes. It's up to you, but you have to also do C.
Okay. All right. Is that okay for us to hold off? Jess,
Yeah.
you had your hand raised?
I was going to make a request.
Okay.
Okay.
You're recognized.
So you mentioned it, the necessity for school construction subcommittee, and I would like to be on that subcommittee. I know it was mentioned that Karen is on it. I don't know. Sorry, Karen. But she's also on the building committee. So I'd be happy to take her place or be added in addition, but I would like to be on that subcommittee.
So noted. So are we putting that on a future agenda item? Is that?
That's what I'm hoping, yes.
Okay. Anything else?
So I make a motion to go into executive session to finish.
Yep.
What we started.
Second.
Do we have a second? Okay, all those in favor? Is that unanimous? Okay, so Diane is opposing. Okay. Thank you.
Same rule? Yep.
Yeah, had that